Chapter 761. You all appeared from this direction. From now on, you will be working on the number 3 devouring island. The Holy Spirit pointed at the island before disappearing. Should we go? A lot of people were hesitating. What else can we do? Do you have a way to leave? Let's go. Let's see how it goes first. Just like that, everyone arrived at the number 3 devouring island. The number 3 devouring island was not that big, and could only be considered as a small island. There were more people on the island than he had expected, numbering in the tens of thousands. A small portion of them were training in the valley in the center of the island, while the rest were either making genuine crystals in their own caves, or chatting and practicing martial arts outside. Look, another group of unlucky people. I guess they were also tricked by the Blackwater Alliance. So many people. They must have been tricked. The people who were chatting on the island looked at Yi Chen and the rest, their tone carrying a hint of gloating and numbness. The Blackwater Alliance had indeed tricked a lot of people. Murong Qingcheng saw that there were tens of thousands of people on the island, and she was a bit surprised. It should be known that there were 6 islands on the devouring island, and there would be more than 100,000 people on the 6 islands. Among them, the lowest cultivation would be at the astral reaching realm, while the highest would be at the half-step king warrior level. If they could be controlled, it would definitely be a horrifying power. After a long time, it is not strange for there to be this many people. Yi Chen rolled his eyes and said, "It seems like some of them have been on the island for years. Although they are not dead yet, they are no different from the walking dead." Hearing him, Murong Qingcheng looked over the people on the island and realized that there would always be a couple of people who had a blank expression on their faces. It seemed like they did not care about anything, and their eyes were always losing focus. Will we end up like this? A bit of anxiety appeared on Murong Qingcheng's face. Woo. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen sneered, "If you want to lock me up, you will have to see if this place can hold me." The Holy Spirit said that even life and death realm warriors would not be able to do anything to him. But there were no life and death realm warriors on the island. Therefore, even if life and death realm warriors could not do anything to the Holy Spirit, they would not be afraid of him. Therefore, as long as one could become a life and death realm warrior, there would be a chance to get out. Of course, that would be in the future. Hey, you newcomers might not know about the little rules of the island yet. I am a nice guy, so I will tell you about them. A tall and sturdy-looking man walked out. First, on the devouring island, everyone has their own cave. If you want a place to rest, then you will have to build your own cave. The distance between your cave and other people's cave cannot be more than 50 meters, so it cannot be too big. Second, there is a training holy ground in the center of the island. Besides the last day of the week, you can go there to train at any time. Of course, you will have to line up. Third, the last day of the month is the time to hand in the Jin Yuan crystals. Do not forget about it. As for where to hand it in, you do not need to worry about it. When the cave is built, a stone altar will appear, and you only need to put the Jin Yuan crystals on it. Alright, that is all. You should go find a place to build your cave. The rocks here are very hard. The simple and honest man waved his hand. Because the island was not that big, there were only a couple of small mountains on the island, which were almost like beehives. There was no place to build a cave at all. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had chosen a lot of places before they finally managed to dig out a cave on a slope. The reason why they chose to build it on the rocks was because Yi Chen realized that the rocks on the island were very hard and could block out soul power. Sea of Souls Realm Warriors' soul power would only be able to spread out 10 meters, and half-step king warriors would not be able to go beyond 30 meters. Even though Yi Chen's soul power was very powerful, it could only reach 50 meters. Once the cave was built, a wave of vibration appeared in the surreal space, and a stone altar slowly landed down. This devouring island seems to have its own natural rules. Yi Chen looked like he was thinking about something. What do you think the Holy Spirit is? Murong Qingcheng thought about the existence of the Holy Spirit. Yi Chen said, "It should be the manager of this world. As for whether or not it is a living being, I do not know. But I have this feeling that this place has a very powerful background, so powerful that even life and death realm warriors are afraid of it. Otherwise, That Holy Spirit would not have said that even life and death realm warriors could not do anything to it. That is really bad. Murong Qingcheng frowned. Today is only the first day, so I do not know anything yet. But I will find out in the future. Yi Chen took out the puppet house from his storage ring and put it in the middle of the cave. He did not want to sleep on the hard ground. Astral reaching realm warriors could make about 15 Jin Yuan crystals every month, which was an average of 1 every 2 days. Sea of Souls realm warriors could make Jin Yuan crystals 5 times more than astral reaching realm warriors. They could make 75 crystals every month, which was an average of 5 every 2 days. In the next 4 days, Yi Chen had made 11 Jin Yuan crystals, which was higher than average. As for Murong Qingcheng, she had made 15 demon power crystals, which was a lot more powerful than Yi Chen, since the demon power was more powerful than Jin Yuan in the first place. I wonder if the demon power crystals would be useful? Murong Qingcheng said. Yi Chen said, on the Devouring Island, there are not only humans, but also beasts. The beasts can make the demon power crystals. Since the demon power crystals are useful, then the demon power crystals should be useful as well. I hope so. Murong Qingcheng nodded. Let's go. There is a holy place for training in the middle of the island. Let's go check it out. Making 11 Jin Yuan crystals in 4 days meant that they could make at least 80 in a month. Sea of Souls realm warriors would only need to hand over 50 Jin Yuan crystals, which would be more than enough. Yeah. Murong Qingcheng and Yi Chen walked out of the cave together. The island was not that big. Once the two walked out of the cave, they could see the people on the island. I have only made 16 Jin Yuan crystals this month. 10 of them need to be handed over, and 3 of them need to be handed over to the manager of the Blackwater Alliance. There are only 3 left, and you want to take 2 of them at once. I have worked hard this month for nothing. Not far away, an astral-reaching realm warrior yelled. I don't care how many Jin Yuan crystals you have made this month. If I ask you to hand them over, then hand them over. Otherwise, I will take away all the Jin Yuan crystals you have and let you be punished by the Holy Spirit. I believe a lot of people know how painful it is. Do you want to try it? It was a middle-aged man with extremely long hair. Behind him, there were dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors, looking very aggressive. Don't push it too far. The astral-reaching realm warrior's tone softened. I am bullying you. Hurry up. I do not have time to waste with you. The man said impatiently. Eventually, he still handed over the 2 Jin Yuan crystals and left angrily. When will it end? Not far away from Yi Chen, an elder shook his head. Yi Chen turned his head to look. Senior, what is going on? What else could it be? It is just the dark power here. The elder's cultivation was not weak, being at late Sea of Souls realm. Dark power? Besides the Blackwater Alliance, there are other dark power parties here? Murong Qingcheng did not understand. The elder explained, the Blackwater Alliance is the biggest manager on the Devouring Island besides the Holy Spirit. All 6 islands are under their control, and there are a lot of dark power parties on each island. Our number 3 Devouring Island is divided into 30 regions, and each region is ruled by a group of dark power parties. This region of ours is called the Black Mountain region, and the leader of the dark power party there is a half-step king warrior called the Tough King. His rule is that as long as one lives in the Black Mountain region and has an astral-reaching realm cultivation, they have to hand over 2 Jin Yuan crystals every month. Sea of Souls realm warriors, 10 crystals, and half-step king warriors are exempted. Does the Blackwater Alliance not care about it? Murong Qingcheng continued to ask. The elder made a face, jackals of the same tribe. Actually, the dark power parties on the Devouring Island are all accepted by the Blackwater Alliance for better management. Otherwise, if there is a rebellion, it would be a headache for the Blackwater Alliance as well. I see. Yi Chen nodded slightly. You are new here as well, right? The elder saw that Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were not familiar with them. Yes. Right now is the beginning of the month, so no one will come to collect your Jin Yuan crystals. But, after this month ends, you will have to face this. Remember, do not fight against the Tough King and his power, and definitely do not fight against the power of the Blackwater Alliance. Otherwise, you will only suffer. Thank you, Senior, for the reminder. Yi Chen held his fists together as he walked toward the center of the island with Murong Qingcheng. On the way, Murong Qingcheng said, "This devouring island is more chaotic than I thought. The island is divided into 30 regions, and each region has at least 700 to 800 people. 90% of them are astral-reaching realm warriors, and they would be able to collect 1,000 Jin Yuan crystals every month. Sea of Souls realm warriors would be around 10%, and they would be able to collect 1,000 Jin Yuan crystals every month. So, it would be more than 2,000 in total. It would be quite a fortune." Yi Chen shook his head. "It is not that simple. The Blackwater Alliance would not let the Tough King get all the benefits alone. It would most likely be the Blackwater Alliance, and the Tough King's power." The training place was in the valley in the center of the island. When Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng arrived, the valley was already full, and there were a lot of people lining up outside. So many people. Murong Qingcheng saw that there were more than 100 people in the line. "Let's go back first." Yi Chen did not really care about the training place. He was only one step away from the half-step king warrior realm, and so was Murong Qingcheng. Training alone would not do them much good. When Yi Chen and the rest arrived at the island, it was the beginning of the month. The Jin Yuan crystals that they had made were all stored in their storage rings, and it was not time to hand them in yet. Within a blink of an eye, 20 days had passed, and the end of the month was getting closer and closer. During this period of time, Yi Chen had made 55 Jin Yuan crystals, and Murong Qingcheng had made 75. It had already exceeded the requirement by quite a bit. "Can you give me a break for this month? I have used a lot of Jin Yuan crystals to accumulate Jin Yuan. By the end of the month, I will only have 60 Jin Yuan crystals left. If I give you 10, it will not be enough." The same thing happened in the Black Mountain area again, but this time, it was a peak-level late Sea of Souls realm warrior. "Sorry, you have to hand it in. Hurry up." The Tough King's follower did not care about the other's feelings at all. That peak-level late Sea of Souls realm warrior bit on his teeth and still handed in 10 Jin Yuan crystals. It turned out that he had just managed to break through from peak-level mid-Sea of Souls realm to late Sea of Souls realm this month, and he had used a couple of Jin Yuan crystals. Then, he reached the peak level from late Sea of Souls realm, and he had used a lot of them as well. "Hey, you two, come over and hand in the Jin Yuan crystals. 10 for each of you." Putting away the Jin Yuan crystals that he had just received, the Tough King's follower noticed Yi Chen. Yi Chen was not surprised at all. Every month from the end of the month to the beginning of the month, it was the time for the dark power parties to collect the Jin Yuan crystals. After all, there were thousands of people in a district, so it would take a couple of days to collect them. "Let your Tough King come talk to me," Yi Chen said calmly. Chapter 762. Who do you think you are? Do you think the Tough King is someone you can see whenever you want? The warriors of the Tough King surrounded them, led by that creepy long-haired middle-aged man. "Asking you to go see the Tough King is for your own good." After so many days, Yi Chen had pretty much figured out the situation in the Black Mountain area. This Tough King might not be the most powerful warrior on the number 3 Devouring Island, but he was indeed the most brutal one. Otherwise, he would not have collected so many Jin Yuan crystals. "Brat, you are looking for death." Seeing Yi Chen being this arrogant, the warriors of the Tough King who were used to being aggressive could not handle it anymore. Shoo! Shoo! 4 late Sea of Souls realm warriors jumped out, attacking toward Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng together. Yi Chen did not even need to take out his sword, he just threw out a sword finger attack. Pooh! 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 Even if it was only one sword finger attack, it was still not something the 4 could handle. They were all blown away like broken bags. Impressive. Kill these bastards who eat people without spitting out their bones. Within this short period of time, a lot of people had already surrounded them. Seeing that Yi Chen was only at peak level late Sea of Souls realm, but could beat 4 warriors of the Tough King with one attack, they could not be happier. "Brat, no wonder you are so arrogant. You do have some tricks up your sleeves." The creepy middle-aged man squinted his eyes, a cold light flashing in his eyes. He waved his hand, signaling all of his warriors to attack. Kill. Die. To be able to be the warriors of the tough king, they had to be at least mid-sea of Soul's realm. Dozens of warriors with mid-sea of Soul's realm and above jumped toward Yi Chen, their killing intent intense. Unfortunately, Yi Chen's power was way below his, and he was the kind of warrior who could fight beyond his realm. Therefore, the result was already decided from the very beginning. Seeing his warriors being blown away while puking out blood, the middle-aged man finally lost his cool. His body flashed once as he threw out a claw attack toward Yi Chen's head. That sharp claw power seemed like it was going to scratch through Yi Chen's head and body. That kind of power was not something normal people could compete with. Kai. The cold-looking middle-aged man's attack was fast, but Yi Chen's attack was even faster. His arm moved, and his sword finger pressed against the cold-looking middle-aged man's neck. The cyan finger light flickered, and as long as the cold-looking middle-aged man moved a little closer, the finger light would immediately pierce through his throat. You didn't die because the rules here don't allow it, and also because I want you to bring a message. Yi Chen sneered. Cold sweat appeared on the middle-aged man's forehead. Yi Chen's attacking speed was way too fast, and he did not even see how Yi Chen attacked. It was not until he felt a slight chill on his throat that he realized that Yi Chen had already attacked. If it were not for him stopping his body in time, he would have been killed on the spot. Of course, even if the cold-looking middle-aged man wanted to die, Yi Chen wouldn't let him die by his hands. He wasn't that stupid. Withdrawing his sword fingers, Yi Chen said, "Let the tough king talk to me. You'll regret this." The eerie middle-aged man took a deep breath and said slowly as he hurriedly retreated a dozen steps. That would depend on whether the tough king is capable enough. Yi Chen's tone was indifferent. Let's go. The middle-aged man brought his wounded warriors and left. The cave that the tough king was staying in was huge. There were no other caves within 300 meters of it. Inside the living room, the tough king looked at the middle-aged man with a dark expression. You mean, not only is he not going to hand over the Zhen Yuan crystals, he wants to see me? Yes. Besides that, he has also wounded our people. The middle-aged man lowered his head. An evil light flashed in the tough king's eyes. It seems like my title is not cruel enough after all. Even the people in the Black Mountain area don't like me. Bring me over. I will let him know what regret feels like. The Black Mountain area was not that big. Within half a pot of tea's time, the tough king had brought a group of people over. That evil Chi had scared a lot of people out of their wits. The tough king is here. I wonder how he is going to handle this. This is so unwise. Our number 3 devouring island only has 20 half-step king warriors. Even if the tough king is not in the top 3, he would at least be in the top 5. Some of the leaders of the dark power groups are only at peak level late seas of Soul's realm. Perhaps he is one of the martial geniuses from some big power group. He is used to being on top. Everyone started to discuss. Who are you? Tell me your name. Floating in the air, the tough king looked down at Yi Chen and said with a low voice. Yi Chen, you must be the tough king, right? Yi Chen lifted up his head and said lightly. Since you know, why don't you kneel down and beg for mercy? Yi Chen sneered, you do not deserve it. You are looking for death. The warriors that the tough king had brought were furious. All right, you have guts. But, the more guts you have, the more miserable I will make you. Kuei Feng, test him out for me. An evil look flashed through his eyes as the tough king said to the middle-aged man on his left. Yes. The middle-aged man's body flashed. 1 turned into 2, 2 turned into 4, 4 turned into 8. All of a sudden, he turned into 8 phantoms that looked both real and fake at the same time, surrounding Yi Chen. Wind profound. No, there is also a hint of shadow profound. Yi Chen was a bit surprised. The middle-aged man's cultivation was the same as his, only peak level late seas of Soul's realm. But, since he was valued by the tough king, then he must have something special about him. Judging from his movement art, it was indeed very powerful. Normally, it would be hard for a movement art to combine different profound, but this man had done it. I have wounded a half-step king warrior before. I hope you can last a little longer. Kuei Feng cracked a smile that was full of cruelty. Being able to wound half-step king warrior. With your cultivation, it is not bad. Yi Chen would not be scared by his words. Not to mention the fact that he could wound half-step king warrior, even if he could kill him, so what? Chem? Are you being arrogant, or do you have something else to rely on? Kuei Feng was a bit hesitant after seeing Yi Chen's expression. He could wound half-step king warrior with his peak level late seas of Soul's realm cultivation, which meant that his power was way beyond warriors at the same level. Being able to become half-step king warriors meant that they were all extremely talented. But he did not seem to be surprised at all. Kuei Feng, what are you hesitating for? The tough king was getting impatient. Yes. Kuei Feng took a deep breath as his eyes turned sharp. Tornado kill. Shoo. 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 8 shadows seemed to have been activated at the same time, flying around Yi Chen like an extremely powerful tornado, trying to kill Yi Chen. Shoo. 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 The tornado was getting thinner and thinner as Kuei Feng attacked. Once he attacked, cold stars flashed everywhere, and the whole tornado seemed to be spinning like a blade. Being in the middle of the tornado, Yi Chen looked calm as he lifted up his right sword finger and pointed it out. Chin. As the sparks flew everywhere, a beam of cold light flew out of the tornado. Then, the tornado stopped. What? Kuei Feng lost. When the tornado stopped, everyone was dumbfounded. In the field, Kuei Feng's right hand was bleeding as it was held there stiffly. On the other hand, Yi Chen did not even change his posture. He had only lifted up one of his hands and pointed his sword finger at Kuei Feng's forehead. One could vaguely see that sharp sword-like finger light. How is this possible? Not only did the others not believe it, even Kuei Feng himself could not believe it. While moving at a high speed, 8 of him attacked at the same time. He thought that he would be able to beat Yi Chen with one attack. However, he did not expect that not only could Yi Chen tell his real body, but he had also knocked away the short blade in his hand with one finger. No matter if it was observation, attacking power, or accuracy, Yi Chen was a few times better than him. Beating Kuei Feng with one attack. Could it be that he had trained some kind of secret skill? The tough king did not think that Kuei Feng would be able to beat Yi Chen. He only wanted to test out Yi Chen's power. However, he did not expect that Kuei Feng would be defeated in one attack. Of course, this did not mean that Yi Chen's power was much more powerful than Kuei Feng's. It could only mean that Yi Chen's fighting skills were way better than Kuei Feng's. However, when the power gap was too big, no matter how good one's skills were, it would be useless. With good skills, could he break through the defense? With good skills, could he dodge the ultimate attack? Neither. Only when the power gap was not that big, would it be useful. Impressive. But your good luck ends here. The tough king jumped into the air and threw out a punch at Yi Chen. That punch was thrown out like a shooting star, but it was also like lava. It made people feel like they were facing a disaster. This tough king's power is almost the same as Qing Liu Sr. Yi Chen could tell with one glance that the martial art that the tough king had performed contained the fire and earth profound. Of course, the combination of the fire and earth profound would have different effects for different people. Boom. Yi Chen still did not take out his sword. He pointed out with his sword finger and a thunderball was formed. It attacked towards the tough king, exploding with an extremely hot and violent chi flow. Chem. He blocked it. The tough king did not believe it. His fists were like a shooting star shower as they attacked towards Yi Chen. Each punch was fiercer than the previous one. He did not believe that Yi Chen would be able to handle it. Boom. 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 The sound of chi clashing continued. The mud on the island had been scraped open, but Yi Chen did not back out even half a step. It is my turn now. Chin. Yi Chen took out his Thunder Disaster Sword. The sword light flashed once before stabbing out. Too fast. I cannot dodge it. The tough king was shocked. He realized that no matter how hard he tried to dodge, he could not avoid that sword attack. It was indeed unbelievably fast. It was indeed Yi Chen's spiritual sword attack. Once it was performed, even top half-step king warriors would not be able to dodge it. Even if I cannot dodge it, so what? Break through my protective Jin Yuan first. The tough king screamed in his mind. Shoo! The spiritual sword attack was not only fast, but its attacking power was also horrifying. It had only paused for a second before it pierced through the tough king's protective Jin Yuan and landed heavily on his chest. Pooh! Puking out a mouthful of blood, the semi-extreme rank great armor on the tough king's chest was slightly twisted. He then puked out a mouthful of blood as he was blown backward with a pale face. Even the tough king has lost. Who is this guy? People in the Black Mountain area had seen way too many confident people, but all of them had been beaten by the tough king without exception. The appearance of Yi Chen was like the sun after the rain, tearing apart the clouds and shining down. This Black Mountain area is going to change soon. A lot of people thought to themselves. Take out all of their storage rings. Yi Chen was not a good person, and he wanted to leave the devouring island as well. Naturally, he would not show any mercy to these dark power groups. So, he asked Murong Qingcheng to take out all of their storage rings. Don't push it too far. The tough king's followers were shocked, but they still tried to sound tough. Yi Chen said, don't force me. Although you can't kill people on the devouring island, it doesn't say that you can't cripple people. If I cut off one of your arms, you can still make Jin Yuan crystals. So, don't force me. Chapter 763. Murong Qingcheng went to get the storage rings of the tough king's followers. As for the tough king, Yi Chen would take care of him. Brat, if you do not want to die, I suggest you not to even think about Jin Yuan crystals. It is not like this has never happened before. There have been people who were more powerful than you before. But as long as they thought about Jin Yuan crystals, none of them would have a good ending. The tough king said with a cold tone. Are you trying to scare me? Yi Chen smiled lightly, his eyes sharp like blades. Feeling the intense killing intent coming from Yi Chen, the tough king did not dare to be too arrogant. He said, I am not trying to scare you, but only a small part of the Jin Yuan crystals that we collect belong to us. Most of them have to be handed over. As for who to hand over to, you should be clear about it. The tough king was one of the top 5 warriors on the number 3 devouring island, so the Jin Yuan crystals he collected were divided in a ratio of 20 to 80. 20% would go to the tough king's power, and 80% to the Blackwater Alliance. For example, the Black Mountain region could collect about 2,400 Jin Yuan crystals every month, so 20% would be 480 crystals, which was not a small amount. For some of the weaker regions, the ratio would be 10 to 90%, or 5 to 95%. This month, the tough king had already collected a lot of Jin Yuan crystals. If all of them were taken by Yi Chen, then he would not be able to hand over 80% of them to the Blackwater Alliance. Then, the Blackwater Alliance would definitely come to Yi Chen. Don't worry, I will talk to the Blackwater Alliance. How could Yi Chen not think of that? Although he knew that the tough king was the leader of the underground power in the Black Mountain region, and that he would have a lot of Jin Yuan crystals, when Yi Chen opened the tough king's storage ring, he was still shocked. The tough king's Jin Yuan crystals filled up a small box. Roughly speaking, there should be no less than 5,000 of them. On the Crystal Island, 5,000 low-rank Jin Yuan crystals were equivalent to 500 million top-rank soulstones. The tough king's face was extremely ugly. There were a total of 5,400 Jin Yuan crystals in the box, and only 600 of them had just been collected. The remaining 4,800 were his own, and these 4,800 were his own. These 4,800 were his own, and these 4,800 were his own. On the devouring island, half-step king warriors would have to hand in 100 Jin Yuan crystals per month, and half-step king warriors would be able to make around 130 to 140 crystals per month. The tough king was the average 140. Of the 140 crystals, 100 would have to hand in, and the remaining 40 would have to give 30 to the Blackwater Alliance. In other words, even if he did not train and did not collect Jin Yuan crystals, he would only be able to save 10 of them per month. Since he was the leader of the dark power in the Black Mountain region, he had a lot of extra income. 80% of the Jin Yuan crystals that he collected would go to the Black Mountain Alliance, and 20% to his power. As the leader, he would naturally get the biggest share. In other words, it would take the tough king 4 years to save 4,800 Zhenyuan crystals. If he used Zhenyuan crystals to train, it would probably take him 5 to 6 years. Don't say that I didn't give you a way out. I'll leave you 100 Zhenyuan crystals. Taking out the box, Yi Chen left 100 Zhenyuan crystals inside. How many Zhenyuan crystals do you have? On the way, Yi Chen asked Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng said, most of them are with the tough king. Plus some Zhenyuan crystals that I left for them, there are only 800 of them. That is not bad. Many a little makes a mickle. Yi Chen was very satisfied. Then what should we do next? The Blackwater Alliance will probably come for us soon. Yi Chen said, if we rely on ourselves, it will take at least 50 years before we have the chance to leave the Devouring Island. You and I both cannot wait that long. As for becoming a life and death realm warrior, there are too many unknowns. So, we have to do something unusual. These dark power parties would be a good choice. You plan to take them all out? Why not? Yi Chen was not the kind of person who would follow the rules. He knew that the rules were made to be broken. If he did not think it was necessary, he could just ignore it. Where does the Claw Shadow King live? Arriving at the Black Plain area next to the Black Mountain area, Yi Chen grabbed onto a Sea of Souls realm warrior and asked. 8 miles in that direction. The warrior had been grabbed by Yi Chen and could not move at all, so he said hurriedly, thank you. Yi Chen let go of him. The leader of the dark power in the Black Plain area was called the Claw Shadow King. According to the rumors, he was a lot weaker than the tough king. Arriving at the place where the Claw Shadow King lived, Yi Chen did not waste any time and threw out a punch. Boom! The ground shook as dust rose up everywhere. Who is looking for death? A human figure flew out. What welcomed him was a cold sword light. With a flash, the Claw Shadow King's whole body was blown away, puking out a huge amount of blood. With such a huge commotion, it was impossible for the warriors of the Claw Shadow King to not know about it. But, before they could even see what was happening clearly, they could only see layers of black shadows in front of their eyes as they were blown away. Only then did they see that it was an extremely beautiful lady with black wings on her back who had attacked them. Who are these two? They are like my idols. They beat up the Claw Shadow King and his warriors so badly that they did not even dare to let out a fart. Waiting until Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had left, everyone who had seen this scene was shocked. They could not help but admire them. How much? Yi Chen asked Murong Qingcheng how many Zhenyuan crystals she had as usual. 650. Not bad, I have 3,800. There were 30 regions on the number 3 Devouring Island. With the Black Mountain region as the center, the other 20 or so regions had all been cleaned out by Yi Chen, leaving only a couple of big regions. After cleaning out more than 20 dark power parties, Yi Chen had already gotten 50,000 Zhenyuan crystals. If it were him alone, he would be able to give all the Zhenyuan crystals to the Holy Spirit and leave the Devouring Island. But, that was if the Holy Spirit did not lie to them. 52,100 Zhenyuan crystals in total. Murong Qingcheng had just finished counting. There are still 3 regions left. The Yellow Sand region and Iron Mountain region are nothing to worry about, but that explosive Fire King from the Blue Water region is a bit tricky. For Yi Chen to say it was tricky, it meant that he was at least at the top half-step King warrior level. Yeah. According to the rumors, he was already a top half-step King warrior when he first came to the Devouring Island. He has been here for more than 10 years, so it is impossible that he did not improve at all. Besides that, he is also one of the earliest dark power parties on the island. If it were not for the Blackwater Alliance not wanting him to expand, he might have already taken over the number 3 Devouring Island. It is indeed tricky, but my luck should not be that bad. What Yi Chen was worried about was that the explosive Fire King was already a top half-step King warrior. Although there was no freedom on the Devouring Island, there were plenty of Zhenyuan crystals, especially for the leaders of these dark power parties. They would not lack Zhenyuan crystals at all. Although Yi Chen's cultivation had reached peak level late Seas of Soul's realm and his power had improved a little, there was still some distance between him and the top half-step King warrior. The top half-step king warrior does not seem to be that easy to reach. Talent and comprehensive ability are very important. Murong Qingcheng was not too worried about it. Hearing her, Yi Chen felt that it was reasonable. Let's not worry about this for now. Let's take care of the other two regions first. Outside of the Iron Mountain region, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had already found out where the explosive Fire King was staying, and were on their way there. Yi Chen laughed. The main district is indeed the main district. The two dark power parties had already given us 15,000 Jin Yuan crystals. I wonder how many Jin Yuan crystals this explosive Fire King has. Hehe, this is the first time I have done this kind of robbing thing. The law of the jungle is the law of the jungle. Instead of being the one who follows the law, I would rather be the one who dominates the law, although only in a small area. Although Yi Chen was usually very gentle and polite, and in a peaceful world, he would be a well-educated person. But before he came to this world, he had always been the one who liked to take the initiative. He would not cause trouble, and he was not afraid of trouble either. There was a kind of iron blood aura in his bones, which was also why he could adapt to the true spirit continent so quickly. Murong Qingcheng knew Yi Chen very well. Since the first time she had seen him, she had felt that there was something different about him. But she had never been able to figure out what was different. As the two spent more time together, she gradually realized that Yi Chen was the kind of person who could adapt to any environment. He was like a blade of grass that looked very low-key, not as beautiful as a flower, but more tenacious than a flower. He was like a great sword that was usually hidden, but when the time was right, he would cut the throat with a sword. Even if he was put in a place that was 10 times worse, he would still be able to live well. The stars were not as bright as the sun and the moon. But, when you were in the universe, you would realize that this star was way bigger than the sun and the moon. Who is it? The Iron Valley district was the biggest district on the number 3 devouring island, and its population was a couple times more than the Black Mountain area. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng's flying route was too direct, which immediately attracted the attention of the explosive Fire King's followers. People who are looking for the explosive Fire King. Murong Qingcheng's speed exploded. She flapped her wings and flew like a ghost. The followers of the explosive Fire King all puked out blood as they were blown away. Get down here. A blue shadow jumped up and threw out a blade light toward Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng's power was not weaker than normal half-step king warrior. She threw out a hand blade attack as well, and a black blade light spread out. Boom! The chi flow spread out in all directions, and the warrior was forced back. Both of his feet had sunk deep into the mud, creating a huge pit. Powerful warrior. The warrior who had attacked Murong Qingcheng was the top warrior of the explosive Fire King. He had been on the Devouring Island for many years, and he had already reached the half-step king warrior level. Since there were a lot of people in the Iron Valley district, following the explosive Fire King would be much better than trying to start a new gang. Plus, the explosive Fire King was the most powerful warrior out there, so even the Blackwater Alliance did not want to pressure him too much. Therefore, he had been staying in the Iron Valley district all this time, and had never thought about becoming the leader of any of the dark power groups. He thought that with his power, it would not be a problem for him to take on Murong Qingcheng. He did not expect that he would be at a disadvantage after only one attack. Iron 6, who is causing trouble here? In the mountain in front of Yi Chen, a flame was moving around, and a voice was heard. It was a very calm voice, but it gave people the pressure of a volcano that was about to explode. Boss, you better come out. Iron 6 felt that he would not be able to take down the two. Boom. Just as Iron 6 finished his sentence, the mountain shook a little and a beam of flame shot out from the top of the mountain. It was almost a flash before it arrived right next to Iron 6. Chapter 764. Such a fast speed. Murong Qingcheng squeezed her eyes. She could feel that the explosive Fire King's speed was not because of his powerful Jin Yuan, but because of his usage of the profound sense. He could use 10% of the pushing force to increase his speed by 20% or even 30%. Who are you? The explosive Fire King studied Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng as a light flame shone on his body. Is the name that important? Yi Chen was also studying the explosive Fire King. His cultivation was undoubtedly at half-step King warrior level. But compared to the tough king, the explosive Fire King's Yuan was more solid, as if there was a volcano compressed inside his body. Before he even arrived, it was already hard to breathe. Yi Chen estimated that the explosive Fire King's Yuan was at least 3 times more than the tough king's. Not counting the purity, it would be more than 10 times more than Yi Chen's. This person's cultivation is almost at the Thunder Spirit King's level. I wonder how powerful he is. Cultivation was still cultivation. If one did not have enough profound sense, the power gap would still be huge. I do not care who you are. Since you have come to the Iron Valley district, then don't leave. Or, you can choose to be my subordinates. Murong Qingcheng was able to beat down Iron 6 with 1 attack, so she must be very powerful. Although Yi Chen had not attacked yet, with the explosive Fire King's eyes, he could naturally tell that Yi Chen's threat was even more powerful than Murong Qingcheng's. Being your subordinate will depend on whether or not you have the power to do so, Murong Qingcheng said. The explosive Fire King said, a couple of days ago, there was also a young man and woman who came to challenge me. But right now, I have locked them up in the Iron Valley prison. That young man is quite powerful. At such a young age, he already has top half-step King warrior battling power. Do you think your battling power is even more powerful than him? You will know after you try. Yi Chen did not even need to guess to know that the young man and woman were Dongfang Hao and Meng Xiaoling. Dongfang Hao was very powerful, and since even he was not the explosive Fire King's opponent, then the latter's power must be horrifying. But, this was exactly what Yi Chen wanted. Those half-step King warriors before him were too weak, and he had not even used 1/3 of his power. Looks like you're very confident. The explosive Fire King wanted to test it out, but seeing that Yi Chen did not do anything, he thought to himself. He did not think that Yi Chen would be able to bring out that much battling power with his peak-level late seas of Soul's Realm cultivation. Boss, don't be careless. Iron 6 had seen the great battle a couple of days ago. He could tell that the explosive Fire King had already used 90% of his power to fight against Dongfang Hao. Don't worry. The explosive Flame King waved his hand. There is a limit to my patience. A couple of days ago, I gave them a chance and only put them in jail for 3 months. However, you guys will not be so lucky. Otherwise, everyone would think that I, the explosive Fire King, am easy to talk to. The explosive Fire King was a bit depressed as well. He had just defeated Yi Chen a couple of days ago, and now there was another Yi Chen. Did they all think that he, the explosive Fire King, was easy to bully? Of course, he did not know that Yi Chen had already swept the 3rd devouring island, and he was the only one left. Chin. Yi Chen did not say much as he slowly took out his Thunder Disaster Sword. A crystal-like lightning flashed once on the sword blade, and the air was sliced open without a sound. Take this. Holding the sword in his right hand, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. Woo, woo, woo. The dark gold pattern tore open the sky. The space between the two seemed to have turned into a peaceful lake. Meanwhile, the attack that Yi Chen had thrown out was like a huge rock thrown into the lake, bringing up a powerful pattern and attacking toward the explosive Fire King who was not far away. Not bad. The explosive Fire King did not dare to slow down. A dark red massive iron hammer appeared in his hand. Flames were burning on the surface of the hammer, shining brightly. He threw out a hammer attack toward the center of the pattern. Boom, 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 boom. The Iron Valley area was full of mountains, but once the two exchanged attacks, a huge part of the mountains started to collapse. It was like the sky was falling. Could it be the explosive Fire Profound? In the first exchange of attacks, Yi Chen had realized that the explosive Fire King's Fire Profound was very different from the others. If the pure Fire Profound was just burning, then the explosive Fire King's Fire Profound was like thunder, exploding crazily. Yi Chen's guess was right. The explosive Fire King had indeed learned the explosive Fire Profound. The explosive Fire Profound was actually a Fire Profound as well. However, because it had abandoned the soft part of the Fire Profound and increased its attacking power, the explosive Fire Profound was even more destructive than the Fire Profound. In terms of attacking power, it was undoubtedly more powerful than the normal Fire Profound. Of course, it did not mean that the explosive Fire Profound was better than the normal Fire Profound. Everything in the world had its own reason for existing. The soft part of the Fire Profound was not useless. In other words, the Fire Profound was also divided into yin and yang, and the explosive Fire Profound was more masculine. Metal and water combined profound, and this soared intent. The explosive Fire King was shocked as well. Yi Chen's gold pattern contained both the metal profound and the water profound. The combination of the two profounds would complement each other, and the degree of integration would be very high. However, Yi Chen's sword intent was obviously more powerful, which made the explosive Fire King even more cautious. 9 layers of Fire Ocean. The explosive Fire King had learned the explosive Fire Profound, so he liked to be the main attacker in battles. After blocking out Yi Chen's attack with one attack, he quickly started his counterattack. The dark red iron hammer vibrated 9 times in the air, and 9 layers of exploding fire waves overlapped together, attacking towards Yi Chen. Pop, pop, pop. The space was twisting. The power of the 9 layers of fire waves was unbelievably powerful. The entire space seemed like it could not handle it anymore. Impressive. After Yi Chen waved out that sword attack, he had already lifted up his Thunder Disaster Sword again. At the tip of the sword, a black thunder ball appeared quickly, spinning and expanding at an extremely fast speed. By the time the explosive Fire King started his counterattack, the size of the thunder ball had already exceeded its previous size. It was dozens of meters in diameter, and the black thunder light had even darkened the sky. At first glance, it looked like a black sun, vast and horrifying. Go! Yi Chen threw out a sword attack. Shoo! The huge black thunder ball flew out agilely, bouncing around like a star, chasing after the moon and the stars. It seemed like the stars were moving, breaking through the limitation of the space. Dong! In the next instant, the black ball of lightning collided with the 9 layers of fire waves, and a deafening sound erupted. This kind of vibration was not much weaker than a meteor crashing into the ground. Circles of spatial ripples swept in all directions, and the heavenly lightning stirred up the earth fire. 13 layers of waves. The power of the explosive Fire King was not just for show, it was the real deal. He tore apart the shockwave and flew towards Yi Chen. The iron hammer in his hand kept waving in the air, throwing out layers and layers of fire ocean. With the power of the fire waves, his speed became faster and faster, attacking towards Yi Chen. Boom! 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 Yi Chen's expression did not change. He waved his Thunder Disaster Sword casually, and a circle of dark gold pattern appeared, blocking out the incoming fire ocean. In a blink of an eye, Yi Chen waved out 13 sword attacks. 13 circles of pattern appeared with him as the center, quietly blooming, looking extremely beautiful and powerful. With his shocking speed, the explosive Fire King surrounded Yi Chen and attacked him, like a blacksmith who was forging an extremely hard metal. Unfortunately, Yi Chen's metal was just too hard, not giving any face to the explosive Fire King at all. No matter how much power the explosive Fire King used, he could not break in at all. It was just a waste of energy. Explosive Fire Shock. Finally, the explosive Fire King used his ace attack, throwing out a hammer attack. As this hammer attack was thrown out, the space in front of him twisted drastically. The rolling fire wave was like a sound wave, vibrating crazily. In the past, the explosive Fire King had used this attack to kill countless half-step king warriors. Even if it were other half-step king warriors at the same level, they would have to avoid it. Boom! The fire wave rushed out and Yi Chen was blown away dozens of miles, bringing up a trail of sparks on his body. Under this attack of mine, you should have suffered a very serious internal injury. This kind of internal injury would not be healed in a short period of time. The explosive Fire King knew the power of the explosive fire shock very well. He did not think that Yi Chen would be able to survive it, unless he was wearing a pseudo-extreme rank armor. But pseudo-extreme rank armors were just too rare, and not everyone had one. Yi Chen indeed had a pseudo-extreme rank armor, which was the bronze armor he got from the Iron Hand King. However, he did not activate it. Although the Explosive Fire King's explosive fire shock had an unbelievable destructive power, it would not be able to wound him at all. It would already be impressive if it could make him back out dozens of miles. What a powerful ace attack! Yi Chen stopped and said with a smile. You are not hurt. The Explosive Fire King frowned. Yi Chen waved his arm. The dragon bone defense layer on his skin had disappeared, and his muscles were a bit sore. Just then, besides not using his most powerful ace attack, he had already used all of his power. Even so, the explosive fire shock had still damaged some of his internal organs. But Yi Chen had the undying body, so all of those organs had been healed within a second. So powerful. He could even take on the boss explosive fire shock without being hurt at all. Iron 6 opened his mouth wide, looking very shocked. Everyone in the Iron Valley area was also shocked. They had been living in the Iron Valley area for so many years, and they had never seen anyone push the Explosive Fire King to this extent. I have seen your explosive fire shock. Now, I will show you my waning moon. If it were not for the fact that he wanted to know more about the Explosive Fire King's level and his own power, Yi Chen would not have bothered with him until now. Now, it was time to end it. Bring it on. The Explosive Fire King was ready to fight, his eyes staring at Yi Chen without blinking. The smile on the corner of Yi Chen's mouth disappeared. His palm held the Thunder Disaster Sword neither too lightly nor too heavily as he threw out a sword attack. It was as smooth as flowing water. Not good. The Explosive Fire King's eyes widened. In his sight, the sky and the ground had completely disappeared. There was only a crescent moon-like black sword power breaking through the air. The black sword power was getting bigger and bigger, even his sight could not contain it. That kind of feeling was like he was in the middle of a starry sky, watching a broken planet flying towards him. Boom! The black sword power had messed up the Explosive Fire King's sense of time. He had only just lifted up his hand when he felt like his body had been struck by lightning. He was blown backward, blood spraying out of his mouth. Crack! That sword attack had not only blown away the Explosive Fire King, it had also split the mountains below him into two halves. All of the mountains had been squeezed to the sides, and the rumbling sound was still there. Chapter 765. My Cave. On the Devouring Island, there were not many places where one could build a cave. It was impossible to build one on a flat land. Therefore, mountains and hills were all good places to build one. The Iron Valley area was the biggest area of the number 3 Devouring Island, so it had the most mountains and caves. Before, the battle between Yi Chen and the Explosive Fire King had already destroyed a lot of caves. And now, it was even worse. More than 30% of the caves in the Iron Valley area had been destroyed. The good thing was that the commotion outside was too loud, so most of the people had already left the caves. So, there should not be any deaths. Looking at the mountain area that had been completely destroyed, everyone wanted to cry but had no tears. Of course, compared to the caves being destroyed, Yi Chen's power had shocked them 100 times more. Who was the Explosive Fire King? He was the top half-step king warrior on the number 3 Devouring Island. Even the Blackwater Alliance did not want to pressure him too much, so they had given him some special privileges. Out of the 30 regions, only the Iron Valley area had the highest dark power distribution, which was 30 to 70 with the Blackwater Alliance. Pooh! The power of the crescent-shaped sword power was too powerful, and it was extremely powerful as well. The Explosive Fire King felt like all of his organs were about to be squeezed out of his mouth as blood kept on puking out. In the end, the Explosive Fire King only managed to stop after he had smashed through 4 mountains of the Devouring Island. However, his battling power had probably been reduced by 80 to 90%. With one sword attack, the Explosive Fire King had lost badly. The waning moon is indeed powerful. After reaching peak level late seas of Soul's Realm, it was the first time Yi Chen had performed the waning moon, and the result was very satisfying. Even a top half-step king warrior like the Explosive Fire King could not fight back at all. If it were not for the fact that Yi Chen did not want to kill the Explosive Fire King, he might not be able to survive. Even so, the power of the waning moon was still a bit out of Yi Chen's expectation. But after thinking about it, he felt that it was reasonable. Among all of Yi Chen's profound sense martial arts, the waning moon was already the most mysterious one. It contained 80% of the gold profound and 60% of the water profound. Once the two profound were combined, it would not be as simple as 1 plus 1. It would be multiplied. In other words, even among the high-rank profound sense martial arts, the waning moon would be one of the top ones. Boss lost. Iron Six's face was pale. Yi Chen's strength was unimaginably strong. He had no way to calm down. Furthermore, Yi Chen looked so young. From his appearance, he looked to be in his early 20s. His real age was probably no older than 30. Let's go collect the Zhen Yuan crystals. Without much hesitation, Yi Chen asked Murong Qingcheng to gather up the warriors of the Explosive Fire King. He believed that he had defeated the Explosive Fire King with one sword attack, which should be enough of a deterrent. If there were really some people who did not have eyes, then they must be stupid. The Iron Valley Zone was indeed the number one zone of the third devouring island. The amount of Zhen Yuan crystals they collected was several times that of the other dark forces. The Explosive Fire King's followers had contributed 3,000 Zhen Yuan crystals, and the Explosive Fire King himself had contributed 20,000 Zhen Yuan crystals. Altogether, it was 23,000 Zhen Yuan crystals. Adding with the 6 to 7,000 Zhen Yuan crystals that he had gotten before, the total was just over 100,000 Zhen Yuan crystals, which was more than enough for Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng to leave. Of course, Yi Chen did not plan to leave just yet. The devouring island was something that could only be found by luck. In there, one could create their own Zhen Yuan crystals. One Zhen Yuan crystal would be worth 100,000 top-rank soulstones on the Crystal Island, which was very shocking. If it were somewhere else, one could even be worth 200,000. Therefore, Yi Chen planned to get enough Zhen Yuan crystals here. He would not only need to prepare himself to become a half-step king warrior, but also to become a life and death realm warrior. Unfortunately, the Zhen Yuan crystals would not work for Murong Qingcheng. What Murong Qingcheng needed were demon power crystals, which were extremely rare in Elysium. Besides Murong Qingcheng, there was no one else who trained demon power, which meant that Murong Qingcheng would have to rely on herself. For the sake of Murong Qingcheng, Yi Chen decided to stay on the devouring island for a while longer so that Murong Qingcheng could make more demon power crystals. With Murong Qingcheng's power, she could make more than 100 demon power crystals in a month, which would be close to 500 in 4 months. 500 demon power crystals should be enough for Murong Qingcheng to train to the life and death realm. As for after that, she would have more choices, and it would not be limited to demon power crystals. It's him. Dongfang Hao and Meng Xiaoling left the Iron Mountain District prison and mixed in with the crowd. In fact, the Iron Mountain District prison would not be able to hold them at all. But, they did not dare to leave, because once they did, they would definitely anger the Explosive Fire King. Therefore, no matter if they were willing or not, they would still choose to stay in the prison for 3 months. Right then, a huge part of the mountain had been destroyed. Dongfang Hao and Meng Xiaoling flew out of the broken prison. Seeing that it was Yi Chen who had beaten the Explosive Fire King, they had mixed feelings. Ever since they first met Yi Chen, they had not taken Yi Chen seriously at all. But as time went on, Yi Chen's power, whether intentionally or unintentionally, had increased their evaluation of Yi Chen. It was not until Yi Chen had killed Tu the Third that they finally realized that Yi Chen was not a sheep, but a wolf in sheep's clothing. Pissing him off would result in a brutal counterattack. However, Dongfang Hao was not easy to deal with either. Although Yi Chen had killed Tu the Third, he did not think that Yi Chen was more powerful than him. However, right then, Yi Chen, who had beaten the Explosive Fire King, had already proved that he was more powerful than Dongfang Hao, so he could not argue back. Damn it! Dongfang Hao clenched his fists tightly. Brother Hao, let's not mess with him in the future. Meng Xiaoling turned her head subconsciously. Seeing Dongfang Hao's unwilling expression, she hurried to say. Dongfang Hao said fiercely, "You mean, I can't catch up to him?" "No, that's not what I meant. We don't have any big grudges with them." This was what Meng Xiaoling wanted to say. Dongfang Hao was in his 30s, and Yi Chen looked much younger than Yi Chen. Whether it was talent or comprehension, Dongfang Hao was weaker than Yi Chen. Even if Dongfang Hao could improve, how could Yi Chen not? It was not an exaggeration to say that Yi Chen was still in a period of rapid development, while Dongfang Hao had already stabilized. The possibility of him improving by leaps and bounds was very low. Dongfang Hao suddenly waved his sleeves, hiding the unwillingness in his eyes. Looking at the void in the north, Yi Chen seemed to have found something. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen turned to Murong Qingcheng and said, "Go to the fourth devouring island." The third devouring island had contributed a total of 100,000 Jin Yuan crystals. Even if the fourth island was not that good, it would not be that bad. Right now, the dark forces on the fourth island still had no idea that they were about to face a disaster. At the center of the first devouring island was a huge mountain that reached into the clouds. On it stood a magnificent palace, looking extremely majestic. A voice came from the palace on the peak. "You're saying that you were robbed by a man and a woman?" Sitting in the main seat was a middle-aged man wearing black clothes with golden threads. He was the manager of the Blackwater Alliance stationed on the island, and was called Sima Zongwen. "Yes, that youngster is very strong. We couldn't even take one sword strike from him." Below him stood more than 20 people. The tough king was at the front, and behind him were the leaders of the third devouring island. Couldn't even take one sword strike. Sima Zongwen lowered his eyelids. According to the narration of the leaders, he had more or less understood Yi Chen's strength. If he guessed correctly, the latter was definitely a peak half-step king. As for what level, he did not have enough information. Shua. Another 2 figures flew over and entered the palace. What? It's Clearwater King and Yellow Sand King. Everyone recognized them as the Jade Water King of the Jade Water District and the Yellow Sand King of the Yellow Sand District. These two were the top 3 figures of the third devouring island. "You guys were robbed as well." Sima Zongwen frowned. The pale-faced Clearwater King glanced at everyone and said with a bitter smile, "Indeed, that youngster is too powerful. Since you guys have all been beaten, then he should have gone to the Iron Valley region. Let's wait a bit longer." Sima Zongwen did not say anything. The strongest warrior on the third devouring island was the explosive Fire King. If he did not come after a long time, it meant that Yi Chen had already been beaten. If he came as well, then things would not be so good. About half a cup of tea's time had passed. Shua. A human figure flew up the mountain and appeared in the palace. Explosive Fire King. Everyone gasped. They did not think that the explosive Fire King was here to show off that he had beaten Yi Chen. The result was obvious. He had also lost. "You don't need to say anything." Sima Zongwen looked at the explosive Fire King's complexion and knew that he had lost. Plus, he was quite heavily injured, and his chi was extremely weak. Waving his hand, Sima Zongwen said, "You all leave. From now on, my Blackwater Alliance will take over this." "Yes." The tough king and the rest left. The explosive Fire King was a bit depressed. He had just realized that he was not the only one who had been robbed. All the other black power parties on the third devouring island had been robbed as well. This youngster must have eaten a leopard's guts. Doesn't he know that the strongest power on the island is not the black power parties, but the Blackwater Alliance? Yi Chen still did not know that he had caused this scene in the palace. But, even if he knew, he would not care. Ever since he robbed the tough king, he had never planned to live peacefully with the Blackwater Alliance. Between the two of them, there would be a winner. On the fourth devouring island, many of the leaders of the black power parties wanted to cry. Just now, all of their Jin Yuan crystals had been robbed. The other side was still fine, as he had kept the Jin Yuan crystals they had made this month, so they would not be punished by the Holy Spirit. But, all of their belongings had been robbed. Even the most generous of people would not be able to take it. The fourth devouring island is still a bit weaker than the third one. The most powerful half-step king warriors are only at the level of the tough king. Yi Chen was a bit disappointed. After robbing the fourth devouring island, the black power parties had gotten 75,000 Jin Yuan crystals. Adding the ones from the third island, they had a total of 175,000 crystals. If they were brought out to the outside world, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Even life and death realm warriors would be greedy and try to rob them. Although the Zhenyuan crystals from the fourth devouring island were not as good as the ones from the third island, there was still a piece of good news. On the fourth island, there was a leader of a black power party who was actually a dark creature. Although the demonic power he trained was not that pure, the demonic power crystals he made were definitely real. In this way, Murong Qingqing's demonic power crystals had increased by 2,000. Chapter 766. Swish, 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 swish. Above the boundless black ocean, a large number of lights rapidly approached. While Yi Chen was plundering the black powers on the fourth devouring island, Blackwater Alliance had already dispatched experts in Yi Chen's direction. Since the distance between the islands wasn't too close, only after Yi Chen had swept through the fourth devouring island did the Blackwater Alliance's experts arrive at the fourth devouring island. Damn, these two don't put my Blackwater Alliance in their eyes at all. Seeing the destruction in front of them, a half-step king beside Sima Zongwen squinted his eyes and said in a deep voice. Sima Zongwen said, in the past few decades, it's not like there hasn't been someone challenging our Blackwater Alliance's rule. However, not a single one has succeeded. Zongwen, these two certainly know that the devouring islands are under our Blackwater Alliance's rule. Since they dared to do this, they might have some tricks up their sleeves. Don't be careless. Another skinny old man warned Sima Zongwen. Sima Zongwen nodded, I know. Even a lion uses its full strength to capture a rabbit. Don't hold back. Yes. The Blackwater Alliance's experts roared in unison. On the black ocean between the fourth and fifth devouring islands, Yi Chen suddenly stopped and said indifferently, they're here. This Blackwater Alliance seems to attach great importance to us. They've dispatched all half-step kings. Murong Qingcheng also noticed the lights in the distance. Yi Chen said, Peak Masters won't be of any use. I presume Blackwater Alliance knows this as well. A small group of top master level warriors could kill normal half-step king warriors and compete with the top warriors among them. But, facing a top half-step king warrior, it would be useless. Plus, Yi Chen had defeated the explosive Fire King, which meant that he was one of the top warriors among the top half-step king warriors. Dozens of lights flew over and stopped a few li away from Yi Chen. State your names. A half-step king roared. You must be the experts of the Blackwater Alliance. What can I do for you? Yi Chen asked. Sima Zongwen frowned. This devouring island is under the rule of my Blackwater Alliance. You ignored the rules here and robbed the Zhenyuan crystals. Why do you think we're looking for you? Under your rule? Yi Chen pretended to be surprised. I really didn't know that. Kid, don't be arrogant. If you surrender now, we can still spare your life. Some fiery half-step kings couldn't bear Yi Chen's tone and roared. Yi Chen smiled, I only know that the devouring island is ruled by the Holy Spirit. Your Blackwater Alliance has fooled the Holy Spirit and made the people here work for you. Those dark powers are all blood-sucking worms, sucking the blood of the people here. I am doing justice for the heavens by robbing their Zhenyuan crystals. Doing justice for the heavens, huh? However, you should also know that the weak are prey to the strong. This is one of the unchanging heavenly laws. Sima Zongwen was expressionless. That's right. The weak are prey to the strong. That will never change. Wherever there are people, there will be conflicts and fights. Between me and you, there is no right or wrong relationship. There is only the strong preying on the weak. Rules were just an excuse. The strong preying on the weak was the true meaning. Well said. Very few people can see through things so thoroughly. Sima Zongwen shook his head, however, you're very stupid. You shouldn't have challenged my Blackwater Alliance. Go. Sima Zongwen waved his hand, and dozens of half-step kings behind him pounced forward. The first to attack was a middle-aged fiendish man with withered yellow hair. His palms were like two large palm leaf fans as he chopped toward Yi Chen. Following this palm strike, a huge palm imprint appeared on the surface of the black ocean, and a boundless chi energy pressed down like an iron mountain. Following closely behind was a skinny old man beside Sima Zongwen. He sucked in a deep breath, and the surrounding air was suddenly sucked out. As for himself, he turned from skinny to fat, and his face became round like an inflated balloon. With a thunderous roar, he punched out. The violent fist energy raised a huge wave on the black ocean, looking incomparably frightening. At the same time, fiery energy, overlapping phantoms, dazzling golden blade chi, and indomitable spear light attacked like a torrential storm, not giving Yi Chen the slightest space to dodge. Scram! Yi Chen pulled out the Thunder Calamity sword, and instead of retreating, he charged forward to meet them. He first sent the yellow-haired fiendish man flying with golden ripple, causing the latter to spurt out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then, he thrust his sword at the fat old man. The sharp sword chi cut the latter's arm, leaving a bloody wound. Yi Chen then pointed his left index finger at the air, breaking the fiery energy and heavily attacking the opponent. This series of actions was completed in a flash. As for the overlapping phantoms, they all brushed past him, unable to injure him in the slightest. The dazzling golden blade chi was also cut off by his finger, greatly reducing its might. Murong Ching Cheng wasn't idle either. Her opponent was a spear-wielding half-step king. The two were exchanging blows at high speed, turning into countless after-images. Only pitch-black arcs of light and spear lights could be seen clashing in the void. This kid's too strong. The fiendish middle-aged fiendish man, who had been sent flying, stabilized his body. He discovered that his internal organs had suffered a certain degree of injury, and his battle power had been reduced. This was still because the opponent was fighting one against many, and couldn't bring out his offensive power to its peak. Otherwise, his injuries would have been 10 times worse. My Empyrean battle body has been broken? The old man recovered his skinny appearance and was incomparably shocked. After a series of exchanges, more than half of the dozen half-step kings attacking Yi Chen had suffered varying degrees of injuries. Although the remaining few weren't injured, their attacks were also ineffective. 9 swords at the same time. Suddenly, Yi Chen's left hand moved, and a sword flew out from the scabbard on his waist. This was a semi-extreme grade sword, one of the semi-extreme grade swords Yi Chen had obtained from Sky Scorpio King's sword tomb. Its might was even above that of the Thunder Disaster sword, and 2 words were carved on the sword's body. In the past, Yi Chen had never used a semi-extreme grade sword. Firstly, there was no need, and secondly, it was to conceal the sharpness of the sword control art. Afterwards, Yi Chen's various profounds had greatly improved, and the sword control art's sword control art had suddenly weakened a lot. It couldn't compare to Yi Chen's major profounds. But now, Yi Chen's sword control art had made a lot of progress. From 5 swords simultaneously, it had become 9 swords simultaneously. Adding the fact that the sword he was controlling was a semi-extreme grade sword, the offensive power of the sword control art was no weaker than Gold Ripple, second only to Waning Moon. Kai 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 Kai, 9 sword shadows shot out, and 9 half-step kings were sent flying while spurting out blood. A deep cut appeared on their chest armor. Sword control art. Sima Zongwen had been observing Yi Chen's strength the entire time. As long as he could figure out the opponent's strength, he would immediately use his killing move to kill him. Seeing the 9 sword shadows, he couldn't help but blurt out. Be it on True Spirit Continent or in the deep ocean, this sword control art was a lost sword art. He didn't expect to see this legendary sword art in Yi Chen's hands. Of the dozen half-step kings, 9 were heavily injured, and the remaining few weren't in a good state either. On the other hand, Yi Chen's aura was calm, and he seemed to know when to advance or retreat. Back off. Sima Zongwen's face was gloomy. The half-step kings he had brought with him were all experts among half-step kings. He hadn't expected that they wouldn't last more than a few moves against Yi Chen. If he had known this earlier, he would have joined the battle from the very beginning, not giving Yi Chen the opportunity to injure them. This way, Yi Chen's advantage wouldn't be so great. A long staff appeared in his hand. With a stern roar, Sima Zongwen waved the staff. The shining staff shadow was like a star, like a myriad of rays, and like a silver river pouring down, violently attacking Yi Chen. Hey! This staff is strange. Yi Chen exclaimed in surprise and raised his sword in front of him. Clang! Amidst the sound of metal clashing, Yi Chen retreated a few steps. The qi around him surged, and the winds and clouds fluctuated. Faintly, a dragon's howl could be heard. Butcher chop. Sima Zongguan swung his staff through the air again. The powerful staff shadow tore open a huge hole in the Black Sea below. It was unfathomably deep. Clang. Yi Chen retreated a few more steps, his blood and qi fluctuating. Worthy of being Sima Zongguan, his actually suppressing him. The experts of Blackwater Alliance, who had retreated far away, revealed joyous expressions. This shouldn't be strange. Sima Zongguan has long since become a peak half-step king. Adding the replica dragon extermination staff in his hand, ordinary peak half-step kings can't even last 10 moves against him. Dragon extermination staff. Hearing the words of Blackwater Alliance's expert, Yi Chen seemed to be lost in thought. Take another staff strike. Sima Zongguan was overbearing. His staff shadows filled the sky, each strike reaping the life. Just as Blackwater Alliance's expert had said, the staff in Sima Zongguan's hand was a replica of Dragon Extermination Staff. Although Dragon Extermination Staff couldn't compare to a pseudo-supreme grade artifact, it was a top-notch existence among semi-supreme grade artifacts. Moreover, it had a dragon-slaying property. Although it was called dragon-slaying, it actually had a deeper meaning. According to legends, the vitality of dragons was extremely powerful. Moves that could kill a human of the same level couldn't kill a dragon. Since it could slay a dragon, it was naturally easy to slaughter a human. After all, the vitality of a human was several levels lower than that of a dragon. You have Dragon Extermination Staff, and I have Blood-Severing Ghost Finger. Yi Chen raised his left hand's index and middle fingers and slashed at Sima Zongguan. Rip! A strand of condensed qi and blood was obliterated within Sima Zongguan's body. What? Sima Zongguan was greatly alarmed. He hurriedly raised Dragon Extermination Staff to block Yi Chen's blood-severing ghost finger. Dragon Extermination Staff and blood-severing ghost finger seemed to have some similarities. The unblockable power of blood-severing ghost finger was actually mostly neutralized by Dragon Extermination Staff, and the remaining power was negligible. So that's how it is. Yi Chen had a rough understanding of Dragon Extermination Staff's effect. Dragon Slaying Cut. Sima Zongguan was extremely wary of Yi Chen's blood-severing ghost finger. The Zhun Yuan in his body surged, and a large part of it poured into Dragon Extermination Staff before slashing down. Woo 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 woo. The staff's shadow, which dimmed the sun and moon, whistled over, faintly carrying the aura of splitting mountains and rivers. Waning moon. Yi Chen raised his sword to meet it, slashing out a black crescent-shaped sword energy. As soon as the sword energy appeared, the sun and moon became even dimmer. Above the Black Sea, the gravity completely disappeared. Vaguely, it was as if a star that was about to shatter had crashed over, destroying everything. Rumble. A semicircle caved in on the Black Sea, and a water pillar shot up into the sky. On the other side of the water pillar, Sima Zongguan spat out a fountain of blood as he flew out with Dragon Extermination Staff in hand. Eventually, he fell into the Black Sea and crashed into the seabed, his fate unknown. Chapter 767. Hum. The broken blood sword floated above Yi Chen's head, its tip shining with a beam of blood light. Making a clanging sound with his left hand, Yi Chen said, "The weak are meat, and the strong eat them. Right now, you guys should be very clear about the situation. Do not do anything stupid." Swish. After saying these words, Yi Chen pointed his left hand, and the blood-ruined sword turned into a beam of bloody light, striking at the spear expert fighting Murong Qingcheng. This spear expert was not bad. At the crucial moment, he could still raise his spear and block in front of him. Unfortunately, Yi Chen's defensive sword art had already reached the realm of 9 swords at the same time. Although he blocked the blood-ruined sword's main body, he was caught unprepared by the sword images and was blown back while spurting blood. For a moment, all the experts of Blackwater Alliance brought by Sima Zongguan were gravely injured. Sima Zongguan himself was even worse off. Under Yi Chen's deterrence, no one dared to move. Even if they did, it would be useless. Their current strength had been greatly reduced, and their bodies still contained a trace of destruction sword intent. This destruction sword intent was extremely hard to remove, and the slightest carelessness would cause the sword intent to invade their souls and injure them. After plundering these people's Jin Yuan crystals, Yi Chen was quite surprised. These fellows had very few Jin Yuan crystals. The most among them only had 500 or 600, and the least among them only had 100. In total, they had less than 3,000 Jin Yuan crystals, not even as much as a leader of a dark force. What Yi Chen didn't know was that Blackwater Alliance was different from the dark forces of Devouring Island. Their Jin Yuan crystals were all stored in the crystal storehouse, and not carried on their bodies. If they were ordered to leave the island, Blackwater Alliance would naturally supply them with Jin Yuan crystals. Although the leaders of dark forces had a lot of Jin Yuan crystals, they couldn't leave. They were like fat sheep in a pen. No matter how fat they were, it didn't matter. Sima Zongwen didn't die. The moment he appeared on the sea surface, he was subdued by Yi Chen, and the storage ring on his finger landed in Yi Chen's hand. "You dare!" Sima Zongwen turned pale. He didn't expect Yi Chen to be so daring, even wanting to loot Blackwater Alliance's Jin Yuan crystals. "Don't you think it's ridiculous to say such things now?" Erasing the soul imprint on his storage ring, Yi Chen sent a trace of his consciousness into it. TSK, it seems like you are the top warrior on the Devouring Island. You have more than 100,000 Jin Yuan crystals in your storage ring. Half-step king warriors would only need to pay 100,000 Jin Yuan crystals to get out, and they would be able to enter the Devouring Island at any time. You will regret this. Sima Zongguan knew that he was no match for Yi Chen, so he allowed him to take away more than 100,000 true essence crystals. That's a matter for later. Putting away the Jin Yuan crystals, Yi Chen nodded at Murong Qingcheng and flew towards the number 5 Devouring Island. "Manager, what should we do next? This brat's strength is several times stronger than what we had imagined. With our strength, we definitely won't be able to take him down." The other experts of the Blackwater Alliance flew to Sima Zongguan's side. Sima Zongguan said with a gloomy face, "Let him be arrogant for a while, I'll go invite the Crown Prince." "Invite the Crown Prince?" The skinny old man was startled. The Crown Prince hates trouble the most. "Although this brat is strong, I don't think he'll need the Crown Prince's help." The Crown Prince he spoke of was the number 1 half-step king of the Blackwater Alliance, and also an unshakable leader of the young generation. Although they had never seen the Crown Prince fight, it was said that he was already a strongest half-step king. Under Life and Death Realm, he was practically invincible. Sima Zongguan shook his head. "This person is very strong. Inviting others is not safe. Only by inviting the Crown Prince can we be absolutely safe." He also didn't believe that Yi Chen was a strongest half-step king. Strongest half-step kings were too rare, much rarer than even life and death kings. Although some people could become life and death kings, they might not necessarily be strongest half-step kings. They might even directly enter life and death realm from peak half-step kings. It was just like true spirit continent. Although half-step kings were not as numerous as the hairs on a cow, their numbers were still not small. However, there were only 3 strongest half-step kings. With the Crown Prince making a move, nothing will go wrong. No matter how strong this brat is, he won't be able to do anything to the Crown Prince. Seeing Sima Zongguan's resolution, the experts of Blackwater Alliance revealed cold smiles. The 5th Devouring Island's population was less than half of the 4th Island's, and the 6th Island's population was even smaller, only having 3,000 to 4,000 people. After looting the black powers of the 2 islands, Yi Chen had only obtained 30,000 Jin Yuan crystals, which was better than nothing. Right now, we have more than 300,000 Jin Yuan crystals. Should we go out? Murong Qingcheng asked. Yi Chen faintly nodded. We're only at the peak of Late Sea of Soul Realm. The 2 of us only need to pay 100,000 Jin Yuan crystals, and we'll still have 200,000 left. Since you have demonic power crystals, let's go. We can't be careless. Yi Chen was still somewhat apprehensive of Blackwater Alliance. If a life and death king came, he wouldn't even be able to escape. Taking out the naturally formed stone altar, Yi Chen placed 100,000 Jin Yuan crystals inside. Buzz! The stone altar blossomed with an ancient radiance, and the Jin Yuan crystals disappeared. However, there was no movement after that. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were still in this world. Deceiving us? Yi Chen's complexion was unsightly. The rules don't allow me to deceive people. At this moment, a strange ripple appeared in the void, and the Holy Spirit's figure gradually took shape. Murong Qingcheng closely stared at the Holy Spirit and said, "Then why can't we leave?" The Holy Spirit said, "You've killed 34 people, and you still haven't paid all of their Jin Yuan crystals. The rest will be paid by you. 520,000 Jin Yuan crystals in total. Fuck you." Even someone as calm as Yi Chen couldn't help but curse out loud. He had looted the fourth devouring island and obtained 300,000 Jin Yuan crystals. He thought it would be more than enough to leave the island. But he had never expected that he would owe more and more Jin Yuan crystals. Even if he put in the remaining 200,000 Jin Yuan crystals, he would still owe 300,000 Jin Yuan crystals. This was too much of a scam. If he followed the normal method, he would never be able to leave the island. "You're not deceiving us." Murong Qingcheng also felt that it was absurd. "You see for yourself." The Holy Spirit waved its right hand in the void, and a moving image appeared in front of the two. When he looted the third and fourth islands, he didn't think that he had killed anyone by mistake. However, it was only his assumption. Since his soul power could only extend 50 meters in the mud and rocks, he couldn't be sure that he hadn't killed anyone by mistake. But this moving scene told him that he had killed a lot of people by mistake. They were all people who were making Jin Yuan crystals in their caves, and couldn't escape in time. The rules don't allow me to deceive people. Therefore, everything I've said is the truth. As long as you hand over enough Jin Yuan crystals, you can leave the island. The Holy Spirit's tone didn't change at all. Sucking in a deep breath, Yi Chen said, "All right, I believe that you won't lie. But can you tell me what kind of agreement you have with the Blackwater Alliance?" The Holy Spirit said, "Among them, there is a powerful life and death king who communicated with me. As for the details, I can't tell you." After speaking, the Holy Spirit's figure disappeared with the wind. "It's harder than I thought." Yi Chen had to admit that what he did before was in vain, and he still owed 300,000 Jin Yuan crystals. "In for a penny, in for a pound." Murong Qingcheng said resolutely, "I can only do this for now." Yi Chen's gaze pierced through the boundless black ocean and landed on the other side of the third island, where the first and second islands were located. Sima Zongwen's figure slowly appeared at a connection point between the island and the outside world. Without any hesitation, he directly flew toward the Crystal Island, raising his speed to the limit. Roughly 2 hours later, Sima Zongwen arrived at the Crystal Island. There were many half-step kings stationed on the island. Sensing Sima Zongwen's aura, they found it strange. Today was not the day to transport Jin Yuan crystals, so why did Sima Zongwen leave the island? Could something big have happened? "Sima Zongwen, why did you leave the island without permission?" A half-step king greeted him. Sima Zongwen said, "Elder Fang, it's a long story. A powerful person has arrived on the island, and is looting Jin Yuan crystals everywhere." "What powerful person? Even you can't handle him?" Elder Fang was well aware of Sima Zongwen's strength. The number of half-step kings he couldn't handle was few and far between. The other party couldn't be a strongest half-step king, right? Very powerful. Apart from strongest half-step kings, no one is safe. Sima Zongwen said again, "Is the Crown Prince on the island?" "Your luck is pretty good. The Crown Prince returned half a month ago, and is currently cultivating in seclusion on the island. I'll notify him for you." Elder Fang knew that the matter was urgent. "Many thanks." Sima Zongwen cupped his fists. In merely 2 hours, Yi Chen had looted the second island. There were many experts on this island, and there were even 2 half-step kings on the level of Flame Burst King. There were also many half-step kings on the level of Tough King. However, they could only suffer a crushing defeat before Yi Chen. After looting the second island, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng arrived at the first island. There were more than 80,000 people on the island, but there were no dark forces. It turned out that the first island was under the direct management of the Blackwater Alliance. Just like the third island, the first island was divided into 30 regions, each of which was guarded by experts of the Blackwater Alliance. Without any dark forces, Yi Chen looted the experts of the Blackwater Alliance stationed in each region, not letting a single one go. We've obtained 130,000 Jin Yuan crystals from the second island. I didn't expect the first island to have twice as many as the second, 270,000. Altogether, we have 400,000. 400,000 plus the 200,000 from before was enough to make up for the remaining 520,000 Jin Yuan crystals. However, Yi Chen was clear that this was still not enough. After looting the first and second islands, it was impossible to not kill anyone by mistake. The caves on the islands were too concentrated. As expected, the Holy Spirit appeared once again. Adding the people you killed by mistake before, there are 50 people in total. You need to make up for 750,000 Jin Yuan crystals. The Holy Spirit spoke in a businesslike manner. 750,000, we still owe 150,000. This time, Yi Chen was very calm. His gaze fell on the huge mountain peak at the center of the first island. There were palaces there, precisely the headquarters of the Blackwater Alliance. Chapter 768. The Devouring Island had 6 islands in total. The number 1 island had the most people, 80,000, and the number 2 was slightly less, around 50 to 60,000. The third island was 30,000, the fourth was close to 30,000, the fifth was 15,000, and the sixth was 3 to 4,000. The total population of the 6 islands was more than 200,000. Although most of them were astral-reaching realm warriors, and less than 1/10 of them were Sea of Souls realm warriors, the population was still there. According to the rules of the Blackwater Alliance, an astral-reaching realm warrior would have to hand over 3 Jin Yuan crystals to the Blackwater Alliance every month, and Sea of Souls realm warriors would have to hand over 15. After a month, the accumulated Jin Yuan crystals would definitely be shocking. Plus, it should not be forgotten that most of the Jin Yuan crystals collected by the Dark Power parties would belong to the Blackwater Alliance as well. In other words, the Blackwater Alliance would have 2 portions of income. One would be the Jin Yuan crystals that everyone handed over, and the other would be the Jin Yuan crystals handed over by the Dark Power parties. If Yi Chen wanted to clear his debt and leave the island, he would have to think about the Blackwater Alliance. Who is it? On this massive mountain peak, there were countless powerful warriors. Countless human figures flew out of the palace, moving as fast as lightning. Yi Chen's speed did not decrease at all. With his body as the starting point, a horrifying destructive sword intent shot out, carrying the will to destroy everything. It swept across in a straight line. That kind of brutal and pure aura made all of the powerful warriors from the Blackwater Alliance feel a chill in their bodies, and their souls were in chaos. All of a sudden, all of the flowers and trees on the mountain peak were wiped out without a trace. At this moment, warriors whose martial will had not reached the 5th step, or were not even half-step king warriors would not have the courage to fight at all. Let's go in. Within a blink of an eye, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had already arrived outside of the palace on top of the mountain. Stop right there. All of a sudden, 4 half-step king warriors whose power was not weaker than the tough king jumped out from 4 directions, trying to stop Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. Yi Chen smiled lightly as he took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and waved it out in 4 different directions. 4 beams of black sword chi were thrown out almost at the same time. The 4 warriors went back the way they had come, puking out a huge mouthful of blood. Crack! After blowing away the 4 of them, Yi Chen raised his Thunder Disaster Sword up high and chopped down. The palace was instantly cut in half like a fruit. Not here. Yi Chen glanced around, but did not find any place that could possibly store Jin Yuan crystals. However, he was not in a hurry. With another slash of his sword, the left half of the palace was split into 2. Just like that, Yi Chen swung his sword to the east and to the west. The originally majestic and luxurious palace was like a fruit platter, turning into pieces and strips, falling to the left and right. I found the crystal vault. When Yi Chen swung his sword for the 18th time, the momentum of his sword met with resistance. A cold glint flashed in Yi Chen's eyes. He held his sword with both hands and swung it down. Boom! A large expanse of light blossomed, and everything in front of him suddenly became clear. This was a vault made entirely of crystals. The crystals were not Zhenyuan crystals, but a kind of energy crystal that could be used to set up arrays. The resistance just now was precisely the power of the array, which had been shattered by Yi Chen's full power sword attack. Inside the broken vault was a stone platform. On top of it was a floating light sphere, and inside the sphere was a storage ring. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen arrived beside the light sphere and reached out his hand. Bang! The light ball suddenly shook, bouncing off Yi Chen's palm, making it impossible for him to exert any force. It's the power of space. Yi Chen could feel that the light sphere contained an extremely pure power of space. Normal attacks would not be able to touch it. If one tried to forcefully attack it, the light sphere would break the space and escape into the void. In other words, without knowing the method to open it, no one under Life and Death Realm would be able to obtain the storage ring inside. Slowly letting out a breath of impure qi, Yi Chen extended his right index finger. The void around his finger gradually twisted, emitting a fluctuation that was similar to the light sphere. It was indeed the power of space. Break! Yi Chen poked at the light sphere. Pop! A popping sound was heard as the light sphere shattered. Without the light sphere's support, the storage ring fell down and was grabbed by Yi Chen. After obtaining the storage ring, Yi Chen immediately released his soul power into the storage ring. This storage ring didn't have a soul imprint, so Yi Chen's soul power went straight in, entering its internal space. So big. The storage ring's internal space was much bigger than Yi Chen had imagined. It was more than 20 times the size of a mid-grade storage ring, like a huge plaza. On this flat ground, there were piles of huge chests that were half the height of a human. These chests were all open, and through the gaps, one could see the glittering crystal radiance inside. 10 chests, 100 chests, 200 chests, there were so many chests that they almost covered a quarter of the flat ground. Roughly speaking, there were about 200 to 250 chests. According to the size of the Zhenyuan crystals and the chests, it was not hard to estimate that one chest could hold 10,000 Zhenyuan crystals. 200 chests would be more than 2 million Zhenyuan crystals. Take a look. Yi Chen handed the storage ring to Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng took the storage ring and poured her soul power into it. So much. Blackwater Alliance can collect more than 2 million Zhenyuan crystals in a month. Murong Qingcheng asked suspiciously. Yi Chen shook his head. It should be more than 1 month. It should be 3 months. This month has not arrived yet, so I guess they have only collected a part of it. Based on this, the Blackwater Alliance should be collecting around 1 million Zhenyuan crystals per month. As for how many months they would transport them, I am not sure. If they were to transport the crystals, they would have to be sent by half-step king warriors, which would cost 100,000 Zhenyuan crystals per trip. One would not be safe, and a few more would add up to hundreds of thousands of Zhenyuan crystals. It was not a small number at all. Blackwater Alliance had considered this point, which was why they did not transport the crystals every month. Otherwise, it would not benefit Yi Chen so much. There was no mistake this time. 150,000 should be enough. Yi Chen let out a deep breath as a smile appeared on his face. 2 million Zhenyuan crystals were priceless, and a top-grade storage ring was priceless as well. Although they had been tricked by the Blackwater Alliance, the items they had collected were more than enough. Let's go now. Yi Chen took out the stone altar. All of a sudden, the space above the mountain rippled, and 2 figures appeared. One was Sima Zongwen, and the other was a dignified young man with a purple-gold crown on his head. The young man looked to be in his 30s, but his real age was probably in his 40s. His long and narrow eyes emitted a tangible killing intent. As soon as he appeared, his gaze locked onto Yi Chen in the palace. It's the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince has arrived. Upon seeing Sima Zongwen and the young man, the experts of the Blackwater Alliance revealed ecstatic expressions. Then, they looked at Yi Chen as if they were looking at a dead man. Yi Chen sized up the young man and inwardly said, "What a profound cultivation base. Twice as high as the explosive Flame King. Is he a strongest half-step king? Crown Prince, it's him." Sima Zhongguan glanced at the peak and the ruined palace, and finally fixed his eyes on the stone platform at the center of the crystal warehouse. Seeing that the light ball on the stone platform had disappeared, he roared as if he had seen a ghost. "You dare to rob the crystal warehouse of my Blackwater Alliance?" The Zhenyuan crystals that the Blackwater Alliance collected on the Devouring Island would only be transported out once every 6 months. This time, it had only been less than 3 months. Even so, there were still more than 2 million Zhenyuan crystals in the treasury. It would be terrible if they were robbed. Consider this compensation from the Blackwater Alliance. Yi Chen didn't care about the furious Sima Zhongguan at all. "You." Sima Zhongguan's face turned ashen. "State your name." The young man in luxurious robes didn't make a sound. Only when Sima Zhongguan said that Yi Chen had plundered the treasury did his expression change. His face turned gloomy, revealing his killing intent. "Why don't you introduce yourself?" Yi Chen said. "Wang Tai." The young man in luxurious robes looked down from above. "Yi Chen." Nodding, Yi Chen stated his name. "Yi Chen, never heard of you. But, it doesn't matter. Hand over the Zhenyuan crystals, and I'll leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you and your girlfriend will wish you were dead." Wang Tai's voice was extremely gloomy, carrying a bone-piercing chill. "Sorry, but the choice is mine." Yi Chen took out 150,000 Zhenyuan crystals and threw them on the stone platform. Courting death. Wang Tai was enraged. Spreading his 5 fingers, he sent a palm toward Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. Roar. A dragon roar resounded as Wang Tai's 5 fingers emitted a boundless qi energy. The 5 qi energies were like 5 water dragons, coiling together and pressing down on the mountain peak. At this moment, all living things seemed to have lost their will. Only the frightening dragon roars could be heard, distorting the space around the entire mountain peak. A strongest half-step king, as expected. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. Buzz. The moment the 5 water dragons attacked, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng disappeared. Having lost their target, the 5 water dragons immediately lost control and smashed the huge mountain peak into pieces. Their wriggling bodies drilled up and down in the dust. It was a scene of apocalypse. "You're dead. There's no place for you in this world." The killing intent in Wang Tai's eyes seemed to be able to pierce through the void. The moment Yi Chen disappeared, a faintly discernible voice reached Yi Chen's ears. "I'll be waiting for you." Yi Chen's voice came from the void. "Humph." Hearing Yi Chen's voice, Wang Tai tightly clenched his right fist, causing the ground below to crack. "Crown Prince, this bastard took away more than 2 million Zhenyuan crystals. We can't let him escape." Sima Zhongguan was about to go crazy. Although Yi Chen's strength was too high, and the loss of the treasury had nothing to do with him, the Blackwater Alliance couldn't let him off the hook. Moreover, his lucrative position as Zhongguan would be in jeopardy. Wang Tai coldly said, "Those who aren't from my Blackwater Alliance will only appear in one place after being transported out of the Devouring Island, the chaotic demonic ocean. After I leave, I'll lead a group of people to hunt him down. As for you, go to the Alliance headquarters and beg for forgiveness." After speaking, Wang Tai took out the Zhenyuan crystals he had prepared and directly tossed them into the air. With a swish, the Zhenyuan crystals disappeared, and Wang Tai's figure also gradually faded away. Chapter 769. It was not Yi Chen's first time experiencing it, so it should not be too bad for him. However, the truth was the opposite. Both Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng felt extremely uncomfortable after being teleported out of the Devouring Island. Not only did they feel dizzy, but their blood and Zhenyuan also started to flow in the opposite direction, as if they were about to burst out of their bodies. This state lasted for a long time. Gradually, a flash of light appeared in the chaotic nothingness. The light was extremely dazzling, as if many spears of light were condensing and stabbing towards them. Pop! The two were teleported out of the chaotic world. What a strange teleportation. Yi Chen had not regained his sense of direction and balance yet, so he just floated in place, waiting for his body to recover. Murong Qingcheng did the same. They did not lose control for long. About 10 breaths later, the two completely recovered. Originally, I thought that the devouring island was just a lost plane. Now, it seems that it is not so simple. Yi Chen looked around and realized that they were on the vast ocean. He let out a sigh of relief and said to Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng nodded. The devouring island's rules are different from Elysium's. If it is a lost plane, then the rules should be similar to Elysium's. Yi Chen said, we can think about the devouring island later. But this ocean is a bit strange. Although the ocean beneath their feet was no different from other oceans, and there was nothing strange about it, Yi Chen had a feeling that the ocean below was darker and more ruthless than other places. Occasionally, small fishes and shrimps darted out, giving off an awe-inspiring feeling. It is demonic qi, Murong Qingcheng said. Demonic qi? Yi Chen suddenly understood. No wonder he felt that it was familiar. It was the source of demonic power, demonic qi. Murong Qingcheng continued, I can feel that the demonic qi is coming from the bottom of the ocean. The deeper we go, the stronger the demonic qi. Then isn't this your paradise? Yi Chen smiled. The demonic energy here is indeed very dense, but it's also mixed with other things. Murong Qingcheng, who possessed pure demonic energy, seemed to have sensed something and looked toward the northwest. In the northwest direction, a large black dot had appeared out of nowhere. The black dot was moving at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it was still on the horizon, but in the blink of an eye, it was already more than 100 miles away. Moreover, it was flying towards Yi Chen's direction at an astonishing speed. If an ordinary person encountered such a situation, they would have already hurriedly avoided it. However, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had not yet figured out the situation, so they naturally would not avoid it in order to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. Su. Of course, these black dots were not black dots, but human figures. These figures were divided into two groups. The group in front had fewer people, only 7 or 8 people, while the group behind had more than 30 people. The two groups were chasing each other. What surprised Yi Chen was that the group in front had a demonic beast shadow behind them, while the group in the back also had a faint demonic qi ripple on their bodies. It's the half-monster clan and the demonic human clan, Yi Chen exclaimed in surprise. Yes. Murong Qingcheng's face turned slightly solemn. When they were less than a few miles away from Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng, the group of 7 or 8 people from the half-monster clan was caught up by the group of 30 demonic humans. These 7 or 8 people were led by a white-robed woman. She looked around as if she was facing a great enemy. Her eyes swept past Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng, and she blinked her eyes as if she was hinting at something. Should be from the Silver Moon White Fox clan, not bad at all. The phantom of the white fox behind the white-robed woman was very clear, and there was a silver crescent moon imprinted on the white fox's forehead. It was not hard for Yi Chen to guess that she was the descendant of the Silver Moon White Fox King and a human. As for the white-robed woman's blinking eyes, it should be a signal for them to leave. Miss, we'll stop them, you run quickly. The young man next to the white-robed woman said anxiously when he saw that they were surrounded by many demonic humans. The white-robed woman said, Our Silver Moon White Fox clan is not an ordinary demonic fox clan. We have never abandoned our clansmen. Miss, don't argue at this time. You staying here is useless. As long as you can avenge us in the future, it's fine. The old man on the white-robed woman's right tried to persuade her. The white-robed woman smiled bitterly. Do you think I can escape? Even if I can escape for a while, they will still catch up in the end. At that time, I'll be the only one left. It's better for everyone to risk their lives now, maybe we will have a chance to survive. Haha, why aren't you running anymore? I've chased you for 3 days and 3 nights, I thought I could play for a few more days. The demonic human in the lead was a middle-aged man with an abnormally robust body. His upper body was naked, and his muscles were like streamlined metal. His arms had already lost the shape of a human, becoming 2 extremely thick black arms. 2 sharp white bones extended from his elbows and shoulders, and the hand that held the spear had sharp, curved nails that flickered with a strange black light. Just like the middle-aged demonic human, the other demonic humans all had their upper bodies naked, and there was always a part of their body that was different from ordinary humans, like demons or devils. Demonic transformation. Yi Chen could tell that these demonic humans could all transform, and the part of their transformation was extremely sinister, far more frightening than the demonic humans on True Spirit Continent. Our Silver Moon Arctic Fox clan has no enmity with your demonic humans. Why do you have to force us? Do you really think our Silver Moon Arctic Fox clan is easy to bully? The white-robed woman held a silver-white thin sword in her hand, her expression stern. He, who doesn't know that chaotic demon ocean is our demonic human clan's territory? Since you're here, you'll have to accept our management. Put down your weapons and follow us back obediently, and we might let you live. Otherwise, apart from you, everyone else will die. The middle-aged demonic human grinned. Don't think I don't know what you're planning. In these years, countless demonic beasts have disappeared in chaotic demon ocean. Most of them were captured by you guys. The white-robed woman also didn't want to come to chaotic demon ocean. Although the ocean was extremely evil and rich in demonic chi, it was precisely because of this unique environment that some rare spirit plants grew here. The white-robed woman had come precisely for the demonic silver grass. Since you already know, why bother asking? Are you going to follow us obediently, or are you going to fight and leave behind a few corpses? The middle-aged demonic human's arms were shrouded in a layer of black chi, as if they were demonic arms burning with ghost flames. Don't even think about it. The white-robed woman clenched her teeth. In that case, don't blame me for being ruthless. The middle-aged demonic human's expression turned even more sinister. However, he didn't immediately attack the white-robed woman and the others. Instead, he said to a demonic human beside him in a low voice, "Iron Bones, take a group and surround those two. If they're willing to surrender, then that's fine. If not, kill that young man." Yes. The demonic human called Iron Bones was much stronger than the middle-aged demonic human. His exposed upper body was like a small mountain. His right arm and half of his body were covered in a layer of black bone armor. This bone armor grew out of his flesh and was extremely thick with spiral patterns on its surface. I didn't expect to have to fight you demonic humans right after coming here. How could Yi Chen not see that these demonic humans didn't want to let them go? Demonic humans, there's no difference. The only difference is whether we're enemies or not. Murong Qingcheng didn't have a good impression of these demonic humans. The demonic humans here had already changed. Their auras were extremely violent and murderous. Go. The middle-aged demonic human waved his hand. More than 20 demonic humans pounced at the white-robed woman's group. On the other hand, the demonic human called Iron Bone led 10 demonic humans and shot toward Yi Chen's direction like black lightning bolts. In the blink of an eye, Yi Chen and the white-robed woman were surrounded. "Kid, seal your own Jin Yuan, and I can spare your life." As if Murong Qingcheng's temperament had an astonishing attraction for him, the demonic human called Iron Bones didn't target Murong Qingcheng. Instead, he fiercely roared at Yi Chen. "With just the few of you." Yi Chen sized up the 10. Apart from the demonic human who spoke, the others hadn't reached half-step king realm. Of course, once a demonic human transformed, their strength would multiply. These demonic humans who hadn't reached half-step king realm should be able to contend against ordinary half-step kings. "Seems like you want to die." Iron Bones narrowed his eyes and waved his palm. "Kill." Immediately, 5 demonic humans charged at Yi Chen. 5 late Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans were enough to make ordinary half-step kings retreat. As far as Iron Bones was concerned, Yi Chen, who wasn't a half-step king, wouldn't be able to block even a single move. However, he was wrong. Without even drawing his sword, Yi Chen raised his right index and middle fingers and casually waved. With a swoosh, a dark golden ripple spread out. The 5 demonic humans spurted out blood, and a bone-deep wound appeared on their chests. Then, they fell toward the ocean below. "All of you, go. You too, deal with that woman. You must capture her." Iron Bones was gobsmacked as he roared. No matter how many come, they'll all die. Yi Chen's fingers moved like lightning, condensing a small thunder ball at the tip. Puff, puff, puff. 3 soft sounds rang out, and the 3 demonic humans had a charred hole on their foreheads. The hole didn't seem big, but the back of their heads had exploded into nothingness. They didn't even see how Yi Chen had attacked, and died without knowing why. On the other side, the 2 demonic humans fighting with Murong Qingcheng were indescribably frightened. The demonic qi on their bodies immediately crumbled the moment it struck Murong Qingcheng's body, not posing any threat at all. It was as if Murong Qingcheng was a black hole devouring demonic qi. Rip! With a palm chop, Murong Qingcheng chopped off the head of a demonic human. The other demonic human gathered his courage and punched at her. Murong Qingcheng's right hand grabbed the opponent's head first, and an extremely pure demonic power gathered in her palm. You too, the demonic human's eyes widened. He could feel that Murong Qingcheng's palm didn't contain Jin Yuan, but pure demonic power. This kind of demonic power could only be possessed by a perfect demonic human bloodline. Moreover, it was a woman. If he brought this news back, the entire demonic human race would be shaken. Unfortunately, he wouldn't have the chance. Murong Qingcheng's demonic power shot out from her palm, and the demonic human's head was immediately annihilated. Iron Bones didn't have the mind to care about Murong Qingcheng's side. All of his attention was on Yi Chen. In just a split second, the 8 demonic humans attacking Yi Chen had all died miserably. Moreover, he himself was actually not Yi Chen's opponent. His entire body was in pain, and his bones were on the verge of breaking. This armor piece's defense isn't bad, Yi Chen said unhurriedly. His finger suddenly pierced through Iron Bone's defense and swept across his throat. Puff! A putrid blood sprayed out. Iron Bones clutched his neck and fell from the sky. Chapter 770. On the other side, the white-robed woman's group was surrounded by more than 20 demonic humans. They were barely able to hold on until now because the Silver Moon White Fox race's members had an advantage in speed and agility. Secondly, the White Fox phantom behind the white-robed woman was abnormally agile. The silver crescent moon on her forehead flickered from time to time, emitting a clear silver radiance. This silver radiance would immediately stick to the members of the Silver Moon White Fox race the moment it came into contact with them. The members of the Silver Moon White Fox race who were enveloped by the silver radiance all had their battle prowess greatly increase and were no longer afraid of death. However, the demonic humans not only had more people, but they also had more experts than the Silver Moon White Fox race. The reason they had been fighting until now was because they wanted to win without losing a single person. If there were no accidents, the Silver Moon White Fox race wouldn't be able to cause any waves. What? Iron Bones was killed. The middle-aged demonic man, who hadn't exerted his full strength, took a glance at Yi Chen's side. What entered his eyes was Iron Bone clutching his neck and falling down from the sky, blood gushing out from between his fingers. Meanwhile, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were completely unharmed. This discovery shocked him greatly. Although Iron Bones wasn't as strong as him, he didn't dare to ignore the defensive power of the demonized bone armor. Don't fight anymore. Kill everyone except her. The middle-aged demonic human decisively decided to end the battle quickly. He would first capture the white-robed woman and then reorganize his men to deal with Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. He wanted them to pay a heavy price. As he spoke, the middle-aged demonic human didn't stay idle either. He held a long spear as thick as a bowl and thrust it towards the white-robed woman's chest. The white-robed woman's cultivation wasn't weak. She was a genuine half-step demonic beast king. Her movement technique was agile, and her clothes fluttered in the wind as she slashed out with her sword. Clang! The dragon-like spear shadow collided with the silver semicircle sword energy and exploded into thousands of light dots. Fut! In terms of agility, the white-robed woman was naturally above the middle-aged demonic human. However, in terms of attack power, she was much weaker. This short exchange made her feel as if she was struck by lightning. She couldn't help but spit out a small mouthful of blood, staining the white robe in front of her chest. Lose for me. The middle-aged demonic man's eyes were ferocious as he swung his spear at the white-clothed woman. Facing this thunderous attack, the white-clothed woman who had lost the initiative was about to be struck by the spear. Dang! Right at this moment, a crescent-shaped sword energy flew over from afar. It was like a dazzling aurora, but also like a heavenly dog eating the moon. It struck the middle-aged demonic man's spear, causing it to fly out of his hand. The middle-aged demonic man's mouth started to bleed, and a layer of skin was scraped off. Puff! The spear flew out of his hand like a skewer of candied haws, piercing through the group of demonic men in a straight line. The remaining force of the crescent-shaped sword energy was even more ferocious. With a single blow, most of the demonic men, including the middle-aged demonic man, were swept away, dying miserably. It turned out that at the crucial moment, Yi Chen had made his move, and his first move was the pitilessly powerful waning moon. Ah! The white-clothed woman cried out in shock. She was frightened by the scene in front of her. It's him. The Silver Moon White Fox race, whose pressure had been greatly reduced, noticed that the one who had attacked was Yi Chen, who was wielding the Thunder Sword. He had attacked from several li away. Damn it! With just one sword, the demonic men had suffered heavy casualties. Only a few of them were left. The middle-aged demonic man's mouth was bleeding, and his chest felt stuffy. He was pushed back several li by the crescent-shaped sword energy. All the bones in his body were on the verge of breaking, especially his arms, which had suffered the most damage. He could barely lift them up. Raising his head, the middle-aged demonic man looked at Yi Chen with a venomous gaze and said, "You're dead. In the chaotic demonic sea, no one has ever dared to provoke my demonic man race. Those who kill will always be killed." If the other party hadn't provoked him first, Yi Chen wouldn't have been so ruthless. But since the other party wanted to kill, he couldn't be blamed. "Temph, I want to see how you're going to kill me." The middle-aged demonic man roared towards the sky. Circles of evil black rings spread out. These black rings were like living creatures, twisting towards the injured demonic man next to him. Amidst the miserable screams of the other, the black rings sucked out all of his essence chi, flesh, and blood, and then filled the middle-aged demonic man's body. Crackle! The middle-aged demonic man's body twisted and swelled, as if there were countless snakes slithering under his skin. It was extremely disgusting and cruel, giving people a hair-raising feeling. Rumble! The demonic chi on the middle-aged demonic man was already very dense. After devouring a large amount of essence chi, the demonic chi fluctuations immediately caused the weather to change. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and black lightning bolts danced everywhere. Crack! A black lightning bolt struck the middle-aged demonic man's body. As the demonic chi retracted, everyone could clearly see the middle-aged demonic man's appearance. Demonic man. The middle-aged demonic man looked no different from a demonic man. His skin had turned black and keratinized. His elbows, shoulders, knees, and ankles had sharp, curved bones. His feet and palms had turned into claws. His fingernails were as sharp as knives, and they were purple-black. His eyes were blood-red, and the whites of his eyes had disappeared. Roar! The middle-aged demonic man roared at Yi Chen. The human part of his voice had already disappeared, leaving behind only cruelty and ruthlessness. Be careful. Although the demonic man has lost most of his reason, his speed and strength have increased explosively. It's equivalent to overdrafting his life force and potential. His regenerative ability has also increased tenfold. As a demonic human, Murong Qingcheng was very clear about the demonic man. Even a part of it had the side effect of eroding one's intelligence, not to mention the complete demonic man. Although the demonic human's lifespan was greatly reduced, their strength was frightening. This is the first time I've seen a complete demonic man. Yi Chen also knew about the complete demonic man. This was the reason why some people on True Spirit Continent were targeting demonic humans. Of course, as far as Yi Chen was concerned, demonic humans were not much of a threat. After all, there were too few of them, and they couldn't stir up any waves. "Young master, many thanks for saving us." The white-robed woman and the rest could see the middle-aged demonic man's frightening strength, so they flew to Yi Chen's side. Yi Chen said, "It's nothing much. There's no need to thank me. Young master, don't be careless." The reason why demonic humans can dominate chaotic demon ocean is not only because this is chaotic demon ocean, but also because they can transform completely. This man is one of the most powerful half-step demonic human kings. Once he transforms completely, he will be extremely frightening. Clearly, the white-robed woman had some understanding of demonic humans. Yi Chen faintly nodded. "You'll all die. Hee hee." The middle-aged demonic man bent his knee and fiercely shot out. Shio. The distance of several li seemed to have been ignored, and even Yi Chen couldn't see its exact trajectory. Clang. While everyone was dumbfounded, Yi Chen made his move. He raised his sword to meet the middle-aged demonic man's claw, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Clang. 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 Following that, the middle-aged demonic man launched a series of attacks. His attack trajectories flickered, and besides Yi Chen, no one could see them clearly. If it weren't for Yi Chen, he would have been killed in a single move. This was the destructive power of extreme speed. With the spiritual sword, although Yi Chen couldn't see the middle-aged demonic man's movement trajectory, he was always able to block the other's attack. Die. After attacking for a long time without success, the middle-aged demonic man became even more ruthless. His eyes turned red as he drew scarlet arcs in the air, creating a soul-stirring scene. Ding 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 ding. The speed at which the two exchanged blows was unimaginably fast. Suddenly, Yi Chen yelled with a low voice, "9-sword attack." With a clang, the blood remnant sword at his waist automatically unsheathed. Under Yi Chen's control, it divided into 3, 3 into 5, 5 into 9. 9 sword images circled around, moving as fast as the Aurora Phantom. Even the middle-aged demonic man couldn't completely dodge the flying swords, and was slashed countless times. Swish! The middle-aged demonic man's legs shot out, escaping the range of the flying swords. The middle-aged demonic man's abdomen, back, and legs had several bone-deep sword scars. The one on his chest was the result of Yi Chen's spiritual sword. The sword chi pierced through the skin and injured the opponent's internal organs. However, in the next moment, everyone frowned. The flesh inside the middle-aged demonic man's wound wriggled like worms, joining together and entangling with each other. As the insides healed, his hard skin automatically healed, leaving behind only a faint scar. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. What a powerful regenerative ability! This was the first time Yi Chen had seen an ability below life and death realm that could rival his undying body. Just this point alone was enough for the middle-aged demonic man to grind to death people on the same level as him. Hehe, I'll see how long you can last. The middle-aged demonic man's mouth curled, and his expression turned fierce. Bring it on. Go. His left hand pointed, and the blood remnant sword turned into 9 sword images once more. Get lost. The middle-aged demonic man roared, and his body fiercely spun like a spinning top. His claws, feet, elbows, and knees all deflected the 9 sword images, leaving him unscathed. With a swish, the middle-aged demonic man's body flickered, drawing an arc in the void as he attacked Yi Chen from the side. Sword light flight art. The Zhen Yuan outside Yi Chen's body surged, and 5 sword lights formed a pair of simple sword wings on his back. With a swish, he dodged the attack. Puff puff puff. The middle-aged demonic man no longer had any rationality, but his battle instincts were even stronger. 3 sharp spikes shot out from his back, enveloping Yi Chen. Ding ding. Yi Chen didn't expect the middle-aged demonic man to have this kind of move. Caught off guard, he only managed to deflect 2 of the spikes, while the third one landed on his protective Zhen Yuan. With a peng sound, the protective Zhen Yuan didn't break. At the crucial moment, Yi Chen activated his bronze armor, greatly increasing his defense. Die. The middle-aged demonic man turned around and pounced over. You're the one who's going to die. Yi Chen stopped his backward momentum and did not try to dodge. Instead, he jumped forward. Rumble. The collision of the two caused a huge tsunami, which spread out in all directions and reached hundreds of meters high. Above the distorted space, Yi Chen and the middle-aged demonic man pressed against each other due to the powerful inertia, creating a time-like effect. When the effect disappeared, the middle-aged demonic man's left hand turned into a fist and punched at Yi Chen's chest. However, Yi Chen didn't try to block this move. Instead, he raised his Thunder Disaster sword and slashed at the middle-aged demonic man's head. His sword speed was even faster than the opponent's. Poochie. A head flew up while Yi Chen was also sent flying, spurting out a small mouthful of blood. Chapter 771. Strictly speaking, the middle-aged demonic man's strength was more or less the same as Yi Chen's. The middle-aged demonic man's speed was fast and his profound martial skills were powerful, but the latter's sword speed was faster and his profound martial skills were more powerful. The reason for this outcome was not strength, but intelligence. After the middle-aged demonic man had completely demonized, he had lost more than half of his intelligence. He was single-mindedly focused on killing Yi Chen, completely disregarding his own life and death. This kind of fearless style was good, but one couldn't blindly pursue it. That would be courting death. Seeing through the middle-aged man's weakness, Yi Chen took a punch at the last moment and killed him. The process was just that simple. Wisdom is something that high-level beings cannot lack. Yi Chen shook his head. Of course, Yi Chen wasn't mocking the middle-aged man's stupidity. After all, the middle-aged man wasn't a complete demonization, so he wasn't his match. Dead. The white-robed lady's eyes shrunk in shock. Yi Chen's strength was beyond her imagination. Even half-step demonic beast kings of the Silver Moon White Fox tribe wouldn't be Yi Chen's match. Miss, this kid is probably a disciple of some superclan or sect. He probably came to the chaotic demonic ocean to train himself. The old man beside the white-robed lady said. The more powerful a force was, the more outstanding disciples they could cultivate. The two were directly proportional. To be called a superforce, it was at least peak 5th grade, or even 4th grade. From the old man's point of view, Yi Chen's background was absolutely terrifying. It wasn't something ordinary people could imagine. Elder Ji, I don't care who he is. I only know that he saved all of our lives. The white-robed lady said. That's true. The old man called Elder Ji smiled faintly and curiously sized up Yi Chen. The middle-aged man was dead after his head was chopped off. His neck spurted out a large amount of blood, and his flesh was wriggling like slimy worms. Unfortunately, he hadn't reached the flesh derivation realm, so he couldn't escape death. The middle-aged man wasn't an exception. Splash! After struggling for a moment, the headless middle-aged man fell from the sky and into the sea, sinking instantly. In this battle, more than 30 human devils were completely annihilated. I am Yu Bingshan, a disciple of the Silver Moon White Fox clan. May I know your name? Yu Bingshan took a deep breath and stepped on the void, slowly arriving in front of Yi Chen. I am Yi Chen. Putting away the Thunder Disaster sword, Yi Chen looked at Yu Bingshan and said. I can't thank you enough for your kindness. If young Master Yi doesn't mind, you and Miss Murong can come to my house as guests. I can entertain the two of you. Yi Chen shook his head and said, there's no need for that. I'm not familiar with this place yet. You can just introduce me to it as repayment for saving my life. You two don't know this place? Yu Bingshan asked. I only heard you say that this is the chaotic demonic ocean, but I don't know the specifics. Nodding, Yu Bingshan said, this place is indeed the chaotic demonic ocean. The reason why it is called the chaotic demonic ocean is because there is a vast amount of demonic chi leaking out from an unknown place at the bottom of the ocean, turning this ocean into a demonic ocean. There are many powers here, but the overlord is the demonic human clan. It is said that the demonic human clan migrated here from another place hundreds of years ago. At that time, this was just an ordinary ocean, and there was no demonic human clan here. Yu Bingshan explained slowly. Migrated here hundreds of years ago? From where? Could there be a large number of demonic human clan in other places? Hearing this, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had many questions. But from the others' tone, they didn't seem to know much about the origin of the demonic human clan. What is the strength of the demonic human clan here? The one who asked this question was Murong Qingcheng. Yu Bingxin honestly replied, terrifyingly strong. In the chaotic demonic ocean, there are 10 great demonic human clans. Each clan has a demonic human king overseeing it. The strongest clan has 3 demonic human kings, and one of them might be a demonic human emperor. Demonic human emperor? Is this true? Murong Qingcheng was slightly astonished. True Spirit Continent also had demonic human kings, and 2 of them at that. However, there was not a single demonic human emperor. Who would have thought that there would be a demonic human emperor in the chaotic demonic ocean? This is only a rumor, but I believe that it is most likely true. Otherwise, the 5th grade powers around chaotic demonic ocean wouldn't be so apprehensive. Moreover, a world-shaking battle took place in the chaotic demonic ocean 100 years ago. The scale of that battle was extremely vast, and even the zenith sky was torn apart. The space became chaotic, and it should have been the result of a battle between a titled monarch and a demonic human emperor. Yu Bingxin spoke everything she knew. Perhaps this chaotic demonic ocean is the headquarters of the demonic human clan in Elysium. In the past, Yi Chen thought that the demonic human clan was not a threat, and that the low number of demonic human kings and demonic human clans was their biggest weakness. But now, he didn't think so. It turned out that there was a place called Chaotic Demonic Ocean outside of True Spirit Continent. We can't stay here for long. The demonic human clan raises millions of 4-winged black demonic insects. They don't have much intelligence, but they can transmit what they see back. They are the eyes of the demonic human clan in the entire chaotic demonic ocean. If we are discovered by them, we won't be able to escape even if we grow wings. As if thinking of something, Yu Bingxin said anxiously. Hearing Yu Bingxin's words, Yi Chen was inwardly astonished at the demonic human clan's control over chaotic demonic ocean. It wasn't that he hadn't seen these 4-winged black demonic insects before. In his early years, when he was merely at Condensing Reality Realm, he had encountered the 4-winged black demonic insects raised by Corpse Man's subordinates. In terms of battle strength, they were equivalent to 3rd-grade demonic beasts. However, when their numbers reached millions, they were extremely frightening. Most importantly, they weren't used for battle, but for scouting. In that case, let's leave this place first. Yi Chen wasn't arrogant enough to think that he could challenge the demonic human clan, so he nodded at Yu Bingxin. Not long after Yi Chen's group left, a large number of squeaking sounds came from afar. Before long, a black cloud rapidly moved over. This was naturally not a real cloud, but a black shadow formed by a large number of chopstick-shaped insects. At a glance, there were at least several thousand of them. These insects were exactly the same as the 4-winged black demonic insects that Yi Chen had seen before. However, they were much smaller, only 3 inches long. They were slender and black, with 4 pairs of thin black wings on their backs. Their heads were spherical, filled with silver-gray compound eyes. Everything in the surroundings was reflected in these compound eyes. The cloud formed by the 4-winged black demonic insects flew over the sea. Under the sunlight, the cloud's shadow followed closely behind. Splash! A 5th-grade demonic fish thought that the shadow was some kind of prey. It suddenly broke out of the water and opened its mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Buzz! The 4-winged black demonic insects were well disciplined, but dozens of them at the edge couldn't resist the temptation and suddenly left the group. Their 4 pairs of wings flapped rapidly, like black lights, piercing through the 5th-grade demonic fish's body. In just a short moment, the 5th-grade demonic fish was eaten until only an empty shell was left, falling into the sea. Satisfied, the 4-winged black demonic insects squeaked a few times and followed the group. If Yi Chen was here, he would definitely be incomparably shocked. In his impression, the 4-winged black demonic insects could only fight against 3rd-grade demonic beasts. Even if there were dozens of them, it was impossible for them to eat a 5th-grade demonic fish until only an empty shell was left. There was only one answer. These 4-winged black demonic insects were not 3rd grade, but 4th grade. The chaotic demonic sea was vast and had countless islands. On an ordinary island, Yu Bingxin's group was bidding farewell to Yi Chen and Murong Yu. Young Master Yi, Miss Murong, we will take our leave first. If you have time, you can come visit my clan. My Silver Moon White Fox clan is located 50 million li to the northwest, on the Moonlight Island. Yu Bingxin's voice was clear and melodious. All right, I'll come visit when I have time. Yi Chen faintly nodded. Yu Bingxin revealed a smile. We still have matters to attend to, so we'll take our leave first. Let's go. After saying these words, Yu Bingxin led her clansmen and flew off the island. Watching them leave, Yi Chen said to Murong Qingcheng, "This place is too close to the scene of the incident. It's not very safe. Let's find another island and enter secluded cultivation." The large amount of Zhenyuan and demonic crystals they had obtained on the Devouring Island was enough for the two to squander. The two were also preparing to break through to Half-Step King Realm. Murong Qingcheng still had demonic power essence left in her body. Her chances of breaking through to Half-Step King Realm in a short time were quite high. Riding the flying puppet for 3 days and 3 nights, the two arrived at a desolate island. After opening up their respective secluded cultivation spots, the two officially entered secluded cultivation. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. The news of more than 30 demonic humans being killed had long since reached the demonic human clan, causing quite a commotion. In the past few days, the number of 4-winged black demonic insects in the sky above chaotic demonic ocean had been increasing. Among the thousands of 4-winged black demonic insects, there were even smaller 6-winged black demonic insects. Such a huge commotion naturally made the martial artists in chaotic demonic ocean anxious. In the distant southeast, a huge golden bird with a wingspan of more than 30 meters was rushing toward chaotic demonic ocean with a dozen people on its back. Crown Prince, chaotic demonic ocean is the territory of demonic human clan. If we enter, we might attract their attention. On the back of the huge golden bird was the Crown Prince of Blackwater Alliance, Wang Taiyi. At this moment, the tall old man beside Wang Taiyi spoke with some hesitation. With his hands behind his back, Wang Taiyi gazed at the scenery before him and said, "Although the demonic human clan is powerful, my Blackwater Alliance is not weak either. I believe that the demonic human clan will not purposely target us. They will most likely give us some face. As for that brat, no matter where he escapes, I will drag him out. My Blackwater Alliance's Zhenyuan crystals are not for anyone to swallow." 2 million Zhenyuan crystals was not a small number. It should be known that although Devouring Island was ruled by Blackwater Alliance, apart from its own consumption, Blackwater Alliance had to allocate a portion to some life and death kings who knew about it. Thus, Blackwater Alliance's annual stockpile was no more than 1 million Zhenyuan crystals. The 2 million Zhenyuan crystals Yi Chen had plundered were equivalent to 2 years of Blackwater Alliance's stockpile. Crown Prince's words are not without reason, but chaotic demonic ocean is boundless. Finding the two won't be easy. I'm worried that they might be captured by the demonic human clan. Demonic human clan has always been tyrannical, and they won't hand over the Zhenyuan crystals they've obtained. The tall old man voiced out his worries. Then let's hope they live a little longer. If they're captured by the demonic human clan, death is certain. Clearly, Wang Taiyi was also extremely apprehensive of the demonic human clan. This was a frightening power that even Blackwater Alliance couldn't afford to provoke. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.